It for this week here on ABC News Radio. Tune in.
Good afternoon, Mary McDonald with ABC News. Pensioners are among nearly 4 million Australians who are set to benefit from a pre-election handout from the Morrison government. Amy Greenbank reports.
Tuesday's budget will see one-off payments of $125 for couples and $75 for singles to go towards their power bills. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg denies it's a pre-election cash splash.
This is a time for responsible spending, targeted spending into key areas.
The money will be sent to concession card holders, including those on the aged and disability support pensions, before the end of the financial year. It's set to cost the government around $285 million. The Shadow Treasurer Chris Bowen has confirmed if Labor wins government, he will hand down an economic statement or mini-budget later this year.
Labor has pledged to ban single-use plastic bags nationally if elected. The opposition leader Bill Shorten says the crackdown will come into effect in 2021 following consultation with the states and territories and industry. Microbeads used in cleaning products and exfoliating gels will also be banned. Mr Shorten says it forms part of Labor's $290 million initiative to create a cleaner Australia.
The Labor government, if elected, will declare a war on the use of single-use plastic bags and microbeads. There's been a lot of talk. The time for talk is finished. It's now the time for action. The community expects leadership from the national government.
Police say they're still trying to determine the motive for a shocking attack on an American tourist in Melbourne's north, in which he was repeatedly hit after being knocked unconscious. Stephanie Ferry reports.
Police say the 32-year-old tourist was supposed to fly home yesterday. Instead, he's recovering in hospital from emergency surgery for bleeding on the brain and a fractured jaw. Detective Senior Constable Matthew Calero says security camera video shows a man chasing the victim after he got off a tram on the corner of Plenty Road and Bell Street in Preston around 11:30 Wednesday night. The man knocks the victim unconscious and continues to strike and taunt him.
The victim, unfortunately, is suffering some serious memory loss. So it appears to be unmotivated.
Police are looking for a man in his early 30s with balding, short, dark hair and a beard.
The Victorian government hopes to stamp out the practice of patients doctor shopping to get multiple prescriptions of addictive medications with the launch of a statewide real-time monitoring system. The Health Minister, Jenny Mikakos, says fatal overdoses from prescription medicine have outstripped Victoria's road toll for the past 6 years, with 400 lives lost in 2017. She says the up-to-the-minute safe script system will track prescriptions issued for addictive drugs like morphine, diazepam and codeine.
This safe script system provides real-time monitoring to prevent patients from potentially going doctor shopping or pharmacy shopping. It will assist in the early identification, treatment and support for patients who are developing signs of dependence.
Truck drivers are rallying across the country to highlight safety concerns since an industry watchdog was scrapped 3 years ago. The Transport Workers Union has organised convoys in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Adelaide, with Perth to follow later today. The union says more than 500 people have died in truck crashes since the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal was scrapped in 2016. The US State Department says it's ending foreign assistance programs to 3 Central American countries as directed by President Donald Trump. The BBC's Chris Buckler reports.
The US State Department says it's following through on President Trump's orders to stop foreign assistance programs to Honduras, El Salvador and Guatemala. Worth hundreds of millions of dollars, they're intended to help make the countries and their economies more stable and indirectly stop people from fleeing to the United States. But announcing that he was ending the payments, Mr. Trump insisted that the countries hadn't done a thing for America. However, Democrats say the move could make immigration problems worse and are threatening to try to block it.
To sport, and in the AFLW, the Adelaide Crows are hot favourites heading into today's grand final against Carlton. Adelaide is eyeing a second flag at the home game. The Crows and Blues go into the clash with an unchanged lineup. In cricket, New South Wales is 1 for 56, chasing a target of 388 to win the Sheffield Shield final against Victoria in Melbourne. The home side started day 4 on 7 for 207 before it was all out for 219 in its second innings. To the weather now, and there's a gale warning for the East Gippsland coast and a strong wind warning for the Central Coast and Central Gippsland Coast. For the state, scattered showers over southern and mountain districts with isolated showers over the northern plains. Showers becoming isolated during the evening. For Melbourne, cloudy with a very high chance of showers in the southeast suburbs and Dandenongs and the high chance of showers elsewhere. We're heading for a top today of 18 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy, 17. It's currently 17 degrees. ABC News.
Get the latest news wherever you are with the ABC News app.
Just recapping our breaking news this hour.
Top stories from your state, across Australia and around the world.
The people are on the verge of racing up.
Choose your topics of interest.
Plenty of storms continuing across the north, though, and that is going to continue tomorrow.
And watch ABC News live on the go.
Just joining us is a media conference live.
Download the ABC News app. ABC News, Australia's most trusted news source.
From 48 metres out, the kick is straight. They've kicked 4 in a row. They're right back in this.
Little toe pop. It rolls through. What a goal.
Grandstand. It's a bit like the old saying, sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield.
Goes inside 50. Who can take a mark? It's McGovern.
Kicks it long. Rioli from the back. Oh, Cyril Rioli with a bit of hang time.
He kicks the goal. That is spectacular.
Grandstand.
Welcome to Grandstand. My name is Limo. We have a massive Sunday show for you, and wasn't it a massive Saturday? Cats getting up over the D's by 80 points down at the Cattery. The West Coast Eagles beating GWS by 52 points. They actually doubled their score there in Perth. The Saners beat the Bombers at the Docklands by 11 points. We'll be taking a deeper dive into that one. And Port, perhaps the least surprising result of the day, Port beating Carlton by 16 points at the Adelaide Oval. We'll be chatting to Charlie Constable from the Catters very, very shortly. Joel Peterson is at the Adelaide Oval and he'll be previewing the AFLW Grand Final that's going on there. Danny McGinlay joins us later to discuss the rich and fascinating rivalry between the Fremantle Dockers and the Gold Coast Suns. Hey Berkey may be back later in the show. Our SMS number is 0437 774 774. Please join the conversation. We would love to hear from you. Hello, Emma Race. Hello, Nathan Burke.
Hello, Anthony. Hello, Nathan. How are you?
Anthony and Nathan. We're getting very formal today.
We are being formal. Well,
it's grand final day, fellas. I'm being
Berkey.
Formal.
Berkey,
how are you?
Emma Race is... Not only is she the number one ticket holder at the Hawthorn Football Club, along with John Kennedy Jr., they're joint number one ticket holders.
Really similar careers.
Yeah. But both, you're making a massive contribution now. He made a massive contribution back in the day. But the AFLW Grand Final was on. So Em might be a little wonky and distracted today.
I am wonky and distracted because I am Carlton in the AFLW because Hawthorn is yet to secure a licence, and I have some skin in the game because my husband Andy Marr is the runner for the Carlton team, so I've had access to the team all year. I love the Adelaide Crows as well, so I'll be keeping a very close eye on the preparations as we look to the grand final in Adelaide today.
As a South Australian, I'm on the Crows. Berkey, who are you on today? Who's your heart going to choose when the first siren blows?
I like a little bit of a Cinderella story with the Blues coming from last year to grand finalists, and after something happened in 1997 which has just prevented me from ever barracking for an Adelaide team, no matter what sport they're playing, for the rest of my life.
I like it when there's transference of you really carry that with you, don't you? It's the scar tissue.
How often, Berkey, and I don't mean to dig up something painful from your past, how often would you, a serious question, how often would you think about the 97 grand final?
In September. That's when it generally kicks in. Yeah.
So it's not a weekly thing?
No, you get over it. Life moves on. It's a game of football. But in September, when you see, mainly after the grand final, you see the celebrations, and even before, you see all the supporters cheering on their teams, and you think, what if? You hear of other teams having reunions. You don't have a reunion for coming runners-up. That's a shame.
Maybe you should start it, see how it goes. Send it out on the WhatsApp group, see if anyone's interested.
Yes, that'll go down really well with the football. Look at the Saints, they're celebrating being second.
Berkey's sitting at a card table by himself. Are we here any minute?
We are sitting at the Docklands, and I saw something just moments ago that was really interesting. That the Brisbane Lions and North Melbourne are out on the field, and they're having a kick around, they're getting warmed up. But I did see earlier the cheer squad were waving the flags, the North cheer squad were having some preparations for their cheering. And I saw them getting the flags out, unfurling them, giving them a wave. And I thought, well, they're up and about. I was impressed by that.
They are very excited. And this will be a great game here today, North Melbourne and the Brisbane Lions. On the SMS, Bruce from Belgrave says, the Saints beat the Dockers, Lima. I must have missed that one. Did I say the Saints beat the Dockers? The Saints beat the Bombers, of course, here at the Docklands. Who would you rather be right now, Bombers fan or a Melbourne fan?
Oh, really rough to be a Bombers fan at the moment. They didn't have a good day yesterday, but I think if I was a D's fan, I'd be incredibly disappointed because they really, it was just a matter of moments they missed out last year, so I would have expected huge things from them.
Yeah, indeed. They had but the Bombers had a shocker here at Docklands yesterday. There was one particular moment where Matt Guelphy and Cole Langford just walked past a ball that was still in play and ran to the interchange bench. It was an extraordinary moment in the game. I've never seen anything like it. Here's Al Nicholson calling that moment on grandstand.
And Loney has the free kick, plays on as Langford runs off the ground and didn't stand the mark. What are they doing?
Right. Everyone was just bemused.
It's unprecedented. It's a real jump the shark moment, isn't it? And you think people's heads aren't in the game. They're not looking to the contest. And I know that there's a lot of pressure to get off and do the changeover and the interchange, but that was a real moment. And I think it really speaks to those moments when you go like, oh, my team's not on today.
Well, let's chuck that to the SMS. 0437 774 774 is the SMS number. What are the signs that your club is in trouble? I think one of them is players walking off the ground while the ball is right next to them and still in play. I think the president saying to the coach, you've got the full support of the board. That's always a bad sign.
Yeah, that's
Berkey?
not good. I think when they start mentioning the process, it's all about the process. Yes. Let's not worry about wins and losses and that sort of stuff. We're getting a process down pat. When I hear that, I think there's Q in the rack there. There's excuses coming.
Yeah, mine's similar. The word rebuild. I never want to hear that during the season, especially anywhere between round 1 and round 10.
Yeah, and when they start talking, soldiers, one soldier down, another one step up. It never quite works out like that.
Never a good sign. No. Well, fans booing, that's a bad sign as well, which happened yesterday. There were 44,000 people here at Docklands yesterday. Massive crowd for an Essendon home game. And the fans booed them at quarter time and booed them again at the end of the game. But given what they dished up, did they deserve it, Em? Did they deserve the booing, or are you totally
anti-booing? I don't like booing at all, and I don't like it towards your own club. I had a question for you, Berkey, because when you see your supporters leaving, I mean, it's never great before halftime, but after halftime, when you see people just pouring out, it's a real visual that they've given up on you. When you're looking at the train timetable as a supporter, you know that you want to catch the early train, which is called the train of shame, actually, that train. That's a bad sign.
When people say I want to beat the traffic and then catch the train?
That's bad too, but can you see that as a player? You see people streaming out?
As you were talking, I'm trying to think of a time when I noticed it, and I can't think of it. I can remember a time being booed as your own supporters doing it, and that's not good. No. That's not good. And if that doesn't fire you up to come out next quarter, I don't know what will, but that's about as low as you can get when your own supporters actually boo you your effort.
That's partly why I don't mind it, Berkey, because I think that's something that the players will remember that and they'll go to bed thinking about that. And if that's the motivation that's required, I know Woosher in the press conference was not happy with the booing, but of course he's going to stick up for the boys.
Players have to be mindful of that, though, that these people pay good money to come and watch you play, and they buy memberships, and they're not cheap. So you have a responsibility to put on a show for your supporters, and if they're not liking the show, well, boo away.
The question on the SMS, what are the signs that your club is in trouble? 0437 774 774. If they start saying, get back to basics, be first to the ball, the rest will follow. Just any of those sort of cliches
terrible.
Are an indicator that you might be in a bit of trouble.
My query about the booing is, as a fan, I'm a very superstitious fan, so I will tie my scarf a certain way, certain condiments on my chips, where I'm sitting, don't change my seat if we're winning, that kind of thing. I've been assured by players in the past that doesn't help them win. So if that can't help them win, how does the booing help them get back?
Because it gets into their head, and all those Essendon players would have gone to bed last night thinking, I can't believe I was booed by my fans, and they would have woken up this morning thinking, our fans were booing us last night. How terrible were we? We need to do something about us. Whereas at Hawthorn, you know, Isaac Smith doesn't go to bed thinking, I bet Emma Race didn't tie that knot in her scarf today.
I thought he did. But
she has cost us. There was a massive game down at the Cattery last night as well, where Geelong, well, they made very easy work of the Melbourne Football Club. This is how it rolled out.
Very shallow throwing. Gordon just slapped it forward. Lockhart received the kick, plays on, goes towards goal. Jay Lockhart, what a special! For your first goal in AFL footy. Fritsch chimes in to take the mark on his chest. Nice saver for the D's, but a shocking switch of play across the face of goal was looking for him. It went too wide, out of bounds on the full. Now a chance for the Cats to have a crack. And Joel Selwood has the ball. This will take Selwood's best. He steps in with the left, bringing it back, Joel Selwood! What a goal from the boundary on your opposite foot.
Radagalier from the back. Wins it down. Kelly had it, lost it in the tackle. Melcham sharks it, kicks the goal. Boy, did they need that one, the D's. Jake Melcham gets one back.
Hawkins just muscles his opponent out of the way to Menengola by hand. Now to Dalhouse to finish the job. They are taking every opportunity that presents. The D's have been wasteful. Free kick for the D's going forward. Advantage is going to be paid here for Brayshaw, who reads the ball off the back of the pack and dribbles through. A goal for Melbourne. Fritsch, who hand passes over the top to Petraka. Interesting kick. It's carved by Clark, who intercepts, takes a bounce, gets inside 50, might draw the man. He does. Hand pass over the top, and Hawkins will finish off the night for the Cats. In fact, he's going to give it back to Clark. What a way to get your first goal in AFL footy. That is a gift, if I've ever seen one. And presenting on the lead is Melcham, who takes the mark. Melcham comes in and kicks another for the D's. That's his second of the evening. Selwood got around one tackler, and the humiliation is complete. Geelong smash Melbourne at Canedia Park.
Yes, the humiliation was complete. An 80-point victory there for the Cats. Down at the Cattery over Melbourne last night, and a young fella for the Cats who picked up 31 touches, if you don't mind. Charlie Constable has been good enough to join us on Grandstand. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Very well. Gee, you've settled in nicely to this AFL business, Charlie.
Yeah, no, it's been a very nice start by the team the first 2 weeks, which has made it a lot easier for me, and I think all the younger boys are playing their roles at the moment.
And how have you found it personally, the step up? To the highest level, because you've played 2 games now.
Yeah, I think the first week the crowd got me a little bit by surprise at the MCG, just how loud it was, and then just the pace of the game was a lot quicker than what I was used to. But then the second half of week 1 and then last night I felt a little bit more comfortable, which was great.
Charlie, it's Emma here. Congratulations. It was an epic win, particularly humiliating, I think, for the D's when there was the 6 goals in a row that you guys got in the third quarter. I wanted to talk about the combination of Dalhouse, Atkins and Gary Rowan. They've been a huge in for Cats supporters. Were they up and about at the end of the game, those 3 newbies?
Yeah, absolutely they were, and they bring a lot of energy to our team, and they've been tremendous for both weeks now, and they bring a real, a lot of energy to our team, and I think that gives everyone a little bit of a buzz. And then after the game, certainly in the locker rooms, they've all got good banter as well, which is great.
Charlie, Nathan Burke here. Congratulations, mate.
Thanks, Berkey. Cheers, mate.
Last year, you didn't actually get a senior game last year, and a couple of young boys that you played a lot of school football with in Andy Brayshaw and Luke Davies-Uniacke at North Melbourne, they were out there playing. You were biding your time. Did you at any stage get a little bit disconcerted with that, a little bit down that they were getting games, you weren't, a little bit behind those guys?
No, not necessarily. I think I realised how strong our midfield was last year and is this year, and it was always going to be hard to break in. And I guess those boys are clubs that are a little bit in a different sort of stage to what ours is. But I guess it's just made it more special this year to break in and play a few games in the midfield.
What have you done over that year and pre-season that's enabled you to now, number one, break into the team and be going so well in there?
I think it was just working on my spread from the contest was probably the main thing, and getting my running patterns right when I wasn't inside the contest. And I think I did a lot of work with Andy Brayshaw, obviously, and that set me up for a good pre-season and now a good couple of first games too.
I did read, Charlie, about you doing a lot of work with Andrew Brayshaw. And is it true? Can you confirm or deny for us that you've started on Christmas Day running hundreds with the Brayshaws?
Yeah, well, that's one of their very strong traditions, and being a very good mate, I've got down a few times, but they're a bit better runners than I am, so I gave last year a miss. I might, I'll see if I do it again this year.
Charlie, can you just confirm, does that happen after presents but before the lunch, or does it happen between the turkey and the plum pudding?
Nah, it's before lunch. Once the food goes in, there's no way I'm doing a run.
Right. How long does it take you to do 100 hundreds, Charlie?
So you've got, I think it's 32 seconds to do each 100. So if you get there in 20 seconds, you've got 12 seconds rest. So I haven't done the maths, but it takes, I reckon, about an hour or so. So it's a fair run.
Right. And I imagine you're a little pooped at the end of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes the rest of the day a little bit sour, but it's all good fun.
We were just talking a little while ago about supporters and their impact on the players when they're playing down at Geelong. It's such an amazing vibe for the Cats players. You talked about the noise at the MCG, but what did you feel last night playing a game at home?
Yeah, it was an unbelievable experience, I guess, just having all the crowd cheering for you, and I guess if you make a mistake, they don't get into you like other crowds would. So it's a massive advantage to us. I think we've got the best supporters in the league, and I absolutely loved running out there last night.
Now, you've played a big game at the MCG, a big game at home, mate. You must be on cloud nine when you wake up each day. Can you pinch yourself that this is all happening?
Yeah, no, it is quite hard to believe, but I guess we just got to keep riding the momentum as a team, keep doing the basics well, and hopefully that carries through to Thursday night against Adelaide, and we can put in another strong performance.
But my only issue is that I didn't see you last night, but the first night, what's going on with that little bit of fluff on your lip, mate?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's happening there? Is that a bet or what?
It's just trying to look a little bit more manly out there. So, I've just left it on for a while. I've got a bit of stick for it, though, so I might have to go pretty soon.
Yeah, right. You've got a very strong name too, Charlie. Charlie Constable. It's like you should be a rock star or an actor.
Or a policeman.
Or a policeman.
Yeah, I do get a little bit of that. I cop a lot of copper or something like that, but I guess the commentators get into it a little bit, but I have to roll with it. That's what I was given.
And just a 5-day turnaround for you guys. You're playing Adelaide Thursday night at Adelaide Oval. So what does your week look like? Are you in ice for 3 days and then light training for 2?
So we go in to the club tomorrow and we'll just do some light recovery, I believe, and then we'll have a day off and then we'll do just a light training session the next day, and then we hop on the plane the day after that and get there and do a captain's run, and then we're into the game. So quite a light week, but the fitness staff has done a great job, so I don't think that'll affect us too much at all.
Well, Charlie, you've taken the AFL football like a duck to water. You've done very nicely in your first 2 games. But before you leave us here on Grandstand, we have to play a quick game with you called How Well Do You Know Your Teammates? We've got 3 questions for you.
Beautiful.
Okay, here we go. Both Mark Blixar's parents represented Australia at which sport?
High jump.
Oh, yeah, they both represent Australian basketball. Mark's dad at the Montreal Olympics in '76 and Mark's mum at the World Champs in 1983. Okay, how many club best and fairest has Gary Ablett won? We're going to count both his clubs here.
I'll go with 5.
Oh, he's 6, 2 at Geelong and 4 at the Gold Coast Suns. And finally, okay, I reckon you'll get this one. Brian Myers, one of the new fellas at the club there. When is his birthday?
It was yesterday, actually.
Yeah!
There you go. Nice, easy one to finish.
Well played. Did you get him a present?
I didn't, to be honest with you. I gave him a firm handshake when I saw him, and I think that was enough.
All right, that's plenty right there. Well, Charlie Constable, thanks for joining us on Grandstand, and all the best against the Crows Thursday night.
Thanks very much for having me, guys. See you later.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. The players quite happily sing the club song if they win. If it's your birthday on game day, do team sing happy birthday to you, Becky?
Not necessarily on game day.
Okay.
No.
Distraction.
No. Yeah, a little bit of a distraction. But just on Charlie, I worked with Charlie 2 years ago down at Hallaby, and he's an outstanding young man. As soon as I saw him go in the draft to Geelong, I said, doesn't matter how long it takes, he will be his future captain material. He's such a fantastic young man. So well done to the Cats for picking him up, and you're finally seeing how good he can be.
Would he have been on a football scholarship to that? Like, do they have a really strong football program, obviously, there?
They do. His team went through undefeated. They had Andrew Brayshaw, Luke Davies-Uniacke, and they had the King brothers playing with them. So it was very, very strong. So he was in the leadership group there. I'm not sure what the situation was with him, but outstanding young man.
There we go. Let's hear from Chris Scott, the coach of the Geelong Football Club, post-match last night.
I thought that the leadership, not just of our more experienced players, but across the board, to communicate the way we needed to adapt to the conditions was a real positive. So it wasn't just the guys with 150 plus games under their belt. It was some of our young guys that were saying the right things and giving our defenders a run to the pump as well. I think if we are going to focus on one part of the ground, I thought those guys back there played the conditions and played the percentages outstandingly well.
And Simon Goodwin post-match as well spoke about that.
From last week to this week, we had a lot more players playing better. But, we had 70-odd entries, 72 entries, which is a lot. And we need to connect better forward to centre. We need to win more contests ahead of the ball. We need to move the ball in a way that's going to connect better to maximise those entries. And ultimately, they maximised all of theirs. They had 48 entries and kicked 20 goals, 6. And we needed to do that better as a club. That's 126 points off 48 entries. That's a lot. So we need to fix that up pretty quickly.
Something to work on there for the Melbourne Football Club. Well, there is a massive game happening at the Adelaide Oval today. It is the AFLW Grand Final. The Crows taking on the Blues, and Joel Peterson is there. He'll be bringing us the game on ABC Grandstand. How's the Adelaide Oval looking, Joel?
It's looking very nice, Limo. Good afternoon to yourself and to Emma and Berkey. It's a little bit overcast. We've had some patchy rain, but the moment Amy Shark's about to perform here at the Adelaide Oval, and the stage is certainly set for what should be a cracking AFLW Grand Final. As part of our commentary team this afternoon, Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson are alongside me in the Grandstand AFLW commentary box. Let's start with the Blues, Shiloh, in terms of them coming into this game. They come in off the back of the momentum of last week, defeated Fremantle by 36 points. They're very confident internally, not only that they can win today, that they are absolutely a big chance to do so. Do you agree with that view?
Yeah, look, if all the numbers suggest that Adelaide, are probably the dominant team all season, but of course you've just got to turn up and win one game of football today to be the eventual champion. And I think Carlton are the form, are running into some really good form in the back half of the season. So if we end up at the end of the game and Carlton gets up by less than a kick, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they've finally hit some cohesion in their game that's really useful. Those partnerships between Davey and Press Parkers through the middle are fantastic. Downey's so important in the ruck and is, I think, second for hit-outs in the competition. But when they go forward, they're the second most efficient team when they go inside 50. They're the second most efficient team in their back half. So they've got some really good numbers, and they're the second most skillful team in the competition. So if they can get on their skills, get the ball outside, and they can get on their skills, but can pressure Adelaide and cause pressure on the field, then they're in with a chance. And grand finals are funny games, Joel, because everyone's already backed Adelaide in, but all the pressure, it's theirs to lose.
Yep.
So you just go and play free footy today, and you have a crack, Carlton, and you play your team game well as you have been. And
who knows?
Who knows what might happen?
Jamo, what about Adelaide? A lot of talk about how much of a red-hot favourite they are coming into the game. The feeling is obviously good. How do they keep that momentum up and keep performing the way that they have today?
Yeah, similar thing to what Shiloh's saying about Carlton is that they've actually got the maturity in all the lines too, and they've actually shown they're the heaviest scoring team. They're the number one defensive team. All the numbers that back up how good they have been. And what we do like is that, I guess, the youth that they've actually brought in to their forward line and their ability and their speed to be able to... And Stevie Lee from defence to go forward, she's added something a little bit new. You go, Jess Foley in the ruck has actually been great. Chelsea Randall in defence, running rebound. But it's Sarah Allen too, for me, is a real general around the back. So I think the maturity, you haven't even mentioned Erin Phillips. Phillips.
Absolute star. In a word, Shiloh, a tip?
Adelaide.
Jamo?
Adelaide.
Carlton for me. I reckon Emma's going to be with Carlton as well. It's all set up. It's going to be a cracker. Limo, the AFLW Grand Final not too far away.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Joel Peterson there in Adelaide, who will be bringing us that game with Matt Clinch, Rod Jamieson, Shiloh Curtis and Josh Money there at the Adelaide Oval. I would love to see a really big crowd there today.
Yeah, they're expecting 23,000, I reckon.
Well, I want Adelaide Oval to reclaim the record for a game of women's footy. It was 41,000. The Adelaide Oval had it, lost it to Perth Stadium last year, and now it's back at Adelaide Oval today with a chance to reclaim that record, Bert.
You've got to remember as well, Joel Peterson's calling that game. His girlfriend is playing in that game. She's a defender for Carlton. Her name's Karen Harrington. She's a basketball superstar, and she's in the leadership team at Carlton, so no wonder he's got voting for the Blues.
Yeah, it's a little bit unbiased there, but if she has a big, huge game, Carlton may just pull up an upset.
Keep those SMSs coming through 0437 774 774. We would love to hear from you about anything, but specifically we're asking the question, what are the signs that your club is in trouble? Bruce in Belgrave says when the club comes out with all positions at the club are undergoing a comprehensive review. Translation, we're needing scapegoats so heads will roll. All right, beautifully said there, Bruce. Also on the SMS, Tony says the Melbourne supporters were also booing their fans, but there weren't enough of them at the ground for the players to hear them. A small blessing there, I suppose.
At least you didn't say they all had their mouths full of cheese and quince paste.
Yeah, well, that is true.
An oldie but a goodie.
What else? Peter in Skeens Creek says, as a Bomber supporter, a bit disappointed, but as they say, early ripe, early rotten. And someone else suggests on the SMS, we need to get grumpy to get better. Well, any time you hear a cliche, you know you're in a little bit of trouble. And Berkey, someone here, for Peter in Hobart, says for you on the SMS, what a remarkable club. Nathan follows. 3 exceptional ruckmen moved on. Big Boy, Hickey and Stanley, each close to best on ground last week.
No good looking back. Sorry, that's another sign that things aren't going well. No, we're not going to look backwards. We're going to look forward.
Back.
We were good back in the day.
Yeah.
That previous SMS, you have to be grumpy to get better. I think we've just unlocked why you were such a champion, Berkey. Always grumpy.
Yep.
And getting better all the time. Is that how that works?
That's why this show is going to be the #1 football show, because you make me so grumpy.
Right there. So keep those SMSs coming in. 0437 774 774 is the number. Now, we had a segment on this show last week, and the feedback we received was extraordinary, and people have demanded that we revisit that segment.
They have. You know, we've got a lot of those technologies that you can ask some questions, but why ask your phone a question or a device a question when you've got Berkey sitting here? Let's play Hey Berkey.
Hey Berkey.
I was even dancing to that.
You were loving it.
That's my new ringtone.
So forget Siri, forget, what's the other one that people speak to? Alexa.
Yeah.
We've got Berkey right here. Do you want to kick us off then?
I will kick us off. Yesterday, Brett Roseberry, he officiated his 400th game as a field umpire in the AFL. He didn't get a banner. Hey, Berkey, should he have got a banner for that?
Give me a spell. Yeah. Seriously, I throw a Hey Berkey back to you guys.
Yeah.
Why do umpires have numbers on their backs? We don't need to know who they are, so their mum can recognise them by their number. They should be able to tell them.
Berkey, so we can abuse them by name.
Yeah, exactly. Why should you? The best umpires are ones that you don't notice. No banner. Sorry. Great effort to overcome all those bumps and bruises that you've got through umpiring to play 400, but no.
Shouldn't we celebrate them?
Yeah, internally, underneath, give them a cake.
Give them a cake, okay.
Give them a cake out there. All right. Hey, Berkey, what did you make of the Mason Cox suspension? Because people are up in arms. They've said, how can Mason Cox be suspended for one game for what was just something seemingly in the run of play?
Yeah, 2 things here. One, taking away what actually happened, he's absolutely going to get a week because, quite simply, the rules say you've got a intentional, head-high, bump, low impact, that's a week. So it's not Michael Christian's fault that he got a week. The other thing is, should he have been suspended like that? My question is, do we want people jumping in front and bumping players all over the ground? Because if you let that one go, that's what they can now do. I don't want to see them doing that, so we need to make an example of that one. It's hard, but fair.
All right, there it is. You've heard it from Berkey now. Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Northern Territory, you are off to the footy right now, and what a fantastic day of football it is that you have.
Go Blues.
Go Crows right there. Everyone else stick around because there is plenty more Hey Berkey to come, and plenty more interesting guests as well. You are listening to ABC Grandstand.
You're with Grandstand. Welcome to ABC Grandstand's coverage of the AFLW Grand Final.
Here is a moment in time in the history of the AFL.
AFLW.
Live and commercial free.
Puts it on her left and threads the needle.
She edges her out, picks up. Bananas, a dribbling goal.
There's a siren.
The AFLW Grand Final.
They come across to celebrate with their captain.
It's the Crows and the Blues. You're with Grandstand on ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
The third AFLW Grand Final features two very different storylines in making it to the season decider. Adelaide claimed the inaugural AFLW Premiership in 2017. They have 13 players who featured in that Grand Final, including Erin Phillips, who is largely tipped to claim her second league best and fairest on Tuesday night. The Crows finished on top of Conference A with just the one loss back in round one to the Western Bulldogs High Point, and all season they have loomed as the team to beat. Carlton's transformation has been incredible under new coach Daniel Harford. From wooden spooners in 2018 to the Grand Final in 2019, the Blues finished on top of Conference B with 4 wins and 3 losses, but have won their past 4 games, boasting a star-studded lineup of Harris, Vesio, Davey, and looking to build at the right time of the season. Could this Cinderella story deliver one of the all-time final chapters? It's the 2019 AFLW Grand Final. Adelaide taking on Carlton on ABC Radio around the country. Hello, welcome to the Adelaide Oval. Matt Clinch with you for Grandstand's coverage of the AFLW. Slightly overcast conditions in Adelaide, but the crowd has rolled in. Expectations of around 20,000. I think we're going to exceed that. Joel Peterson alongside me to call the action. Joel, hello. Great to be alongside you.
Good to be with you, Clinchy. It's not the greatest of Adelaide days. A little bit overcast. It's certainly a little bit more friendly in terms of the weather than we had yesterday. It's not as windy. We've had light showers so far today, but not too much rain. So conditions are certainly favourable enough for this, what should be a really interesting grand final today. Of course, they met in round 2, these two teams. Carlton held a 17-point lead into the third term. I think it was a 50-metre penalty. The Crows got a goal, and then they really got a run on. And as they've done all year, they just ran over Carlton in the last quarter. So that's what they can do. That's what they're capable of. They showed their intent last week, and they roll in today as absolutely red-hot favourites.
Yeah, the path for these two sides. Adelaide defeated Geelong by 66 points here last Sunday, holding them goalless until the final quarter. Ebony Marinoff outstanding with 27 disposals and 2 goals. Meanwhile, the Blues ended Fremantle's season with a 36-point win at Princess Park. Dalton with 2 goals, Prasparkas with a goal and 19 disposals. We've had Amy Shark as the pre-game entertainment, and now great to see some of the Crows men's players making their way out on the ground to line up for a guard of honour as the women will make their way out onto the Adelaide Oval. A couple of experts sitting alongside us to break aside this match. One of the founders and pioneers of this game in Australia, Charlo Curtis, who is a player, coach, administrator. Charlo, welcome. Great to work alongside you.
Yeah, really lovely to be back over here at Adelaide Oval. It is a terrific venue, and it must be such a delight for the Adelaide locals, but also the players themselves to play this grand final on their home turf. And it's a unique situation in the AFL context because, of course, the boys don't get a similar opportunity, but certainly for the girls, they get to bring Carlton to their home base and create a bit of a cauldron here, really. And it feels like that today, doesn't it?
You've seen each of these years and how it's evolved throughout time. how would you summarise this year and the momentum over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, look, the game's changed completely again. Everyone can run at an elite level now. Everyone's now structured up and thinking really well. The coaching impact is really starting to drill down, particularly to the cross-coders. Cross-code athletes take about 3 years to really have a breakout year, and I think we're starting to see that 3 years in a really good program. And so as a result, skills are more important now than ever. And the teams that previously years have played surge footy and just tried to rush it and get ahead of traffic and don't worry about how you do it, just get repeated stoppages and then get your engine around the ball again. That's not working anymore, particularly with this new rule, which I've loved this year, Clinchy, where the ball gets thrown in further in, closer to the corridor. And if your skills aren't on song, you turn the footy over there and you get absolutely smashed because you're in the corridor. So I've loved that rule this year. I love the emphasis on skill-based footy. And you know what that's led to in this comp this year, which has been the best thing about it? One-on-one contests around the ground, and I think we're going to see some enthralling one-on-one contests today.
Great to have you, Charlo, with us as part of the grand final coverage. Alongside Charlo, Crows Premiership player Rod Jammo. Jammo, hello.
Welcome back.
Nice to see you.
Hey, always a pleasure. Well, look, it's a great day. We came here last week and the girls had the opportunity to play at Adelaide Oval. They were all screaming for it. There was some chance they might have played the night before after the men's game, but you know, they got their own day, their own opportunity to represent the club on Adelaide Oval, and they just absolutely loved it. And the performance, that reflected accordingly. They really touched up Geelong in a big way, and the way that Shola described the game and how it's evolved and how all the teams are better equipped from a skill perspective, structure, strategy, game plan and style. I think you'll see it today with the two better sides in the competition.
So where do you want to start? We're going to hear from both sides of the camp. Matthew Clark will join us very shortly. Steve Salapak will also have a chat to us from down on the boundary. But the lead into this game, it's hard to not be captivated in the narrative of Adelaide being so dominant throughout the season. And Charlo, as you were saying in the preview, for those members of our audience who were with us when Lemo was on air, of course, Carlton have almost come good at the right time of the season after being wooden spooners last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all keep talking about, you know, Adelaide, and they do. You look at the statistics sheets and they win almost every category. But what people don't realise is that Carlton have just sort of snuck their way up to be second in a number of those categories. And they're not too far off the pace in some of those categories. And, you know, I think it's going to be a closer game than people might anticipate. Their disposal efficiency is only about 2% off that of Adelaide. So ball use, we talk about that. It's really important in high pressure games. Grand finals are unlike anything. There's a lot of contested footy. There's a lot of repeated stoppages. So if you can use the ball really well in that hot time in a granny, then you're going to be better off. You know, you're certainly going to be better off. But Carlton are almost as skillful as Adelaide, and so I think that's going to play a really critical role today. So don't write Carlton off by any stretch, and certainly their pressure game has been building. They've had to play pressure footy. You look at last week's game against Fremantle, Clinchy. The reason why they got over the line is they just pressured the ball carrier or the contest so much that Fremantle had no chance to get the ball on the outside, which they're so good at. And we know that the Crows are really great on the outside, but you know, if Davey and Presparkis and Loynes can really pressure inside and can stop that outside flow from the Crows, then I think they're in with a chance.
I think, and that's where Adelaide have been so good. So they've got their inside players with the ability to win the football. They're a very good tackling side, but they get hold of the footy, and I think the big improvement for Adelaide this year has been their skill level and the way. So they've actually haven't allowed the opposition to win the footy back. And the game last week against Geelong, they really did have it and they controlled it. And for probably 2/3 of the game, it was really played in Adelaide's half and Adelaide's 50, and Geelong just couldn't get it out and couldn't rebound. So I think the ability to have those quality players in the midfield and the quality that Carlton have, and you got Taylor Harris as that key, and we know the style in which she plays. Just put it up to her and let her have a crack at it. She needs the support around her. But the Adelaide defence is really good. You've actually got to get the footy off Adelaide to get it even down there. And because of the press, she's a long way from goal then too. So I think that's where Adelaide can really control the game. And we spoke earlier around just the quality and I think the experience in all lines that Adelaide have. That's where I feel Adelaide can get on top.
Rod Jamison alongside Charlo Curtis, Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson to call the action. The final member of our team is down on the boundary. Josh Money, he's been good enough to be joined by the Adelaide coach, Matthew Clark. Josh, welcome. Might be having a bit of trouble getting through. to Josh. Here we go.
Down the bunker.
And the players are not too far away from making their way out, and hopefully we'll have a bit of contact with Josh in a moment or two's time.
Well, interesting, Clinchy, that we've got the Adelaide Crows boys that have come out and they're lining up, creating a guard of honour. What we do know is the Carlton team, the Carlton men's team, played here yesterday, and I know that they were back on a plane back home to Melbourne. Do you reckon they should have stayed overnight? And
that is the least surprising thing that would have happened this year, Shiloh, because they haven't turned up to any of the games, so why bother now?
Well, I reckon you were here yesterday. Just stay an extra night. Hire the South Australian Institute of Sport and do your recovery there this morning. Get here, support the girls, and fly home with them, win, lose or draw by the end of the day.
It was telling a few weeks ago they played Brisbane in their Carlton respects match at Princes Park. All of Brisbane's list were there and Carlton weren't there at all. It's very, very interesting, that.
We fly as one.
So the Adelaide Crows making their way out onto the Adelaide Oval. Jamison pumping up the Crows slogan. Aaron Phillips and Chelsea Randall right at the front, leading the team out on the field as they make their way through the banner, and Carlton will only be a moment or two away. The fireworks into the overcast skies in Adelaide today, continuing to add to this occasion of what should be a fitting season decider. Let's try once more. Down to Josh Money on the boundary line. He's joined by Crows.
Thank you, Clinchy. Bit of rain around earlier today, but the clouds are clearing. A beautiful day for football here as it stands, and good enough of Crows coach Matt Clark to join us. Matt, grand final day. You got a lawn bowls premiership to your name, but not one in football. What would it mean to win today?
Oh no, clearly it'd be great for the club. I mean, what the girls were able to do in 2017 was huge for the club as a whole. But to be able to do something similar here in front of our own fans would be pretty special.
It's a great crowd. There's been some hoping for up to 30,000. Firstly, what does that do? And secondly, how great is it to see this for women's football in Adelaide?
Oh, I love it. I mean, to see all of these people here already. Certainly the prelim final, 13,000. They made a fair bit of noise. So if we can get upward of 20, then it'll be sensational for the team.
Your first year as a senior coach and you're in a grand final. How has this matched your expectations for the year? It must be a little surreal.
Oh, no, it's very good. I mean, obviously, it's just been a lot of fun. So I've just soaked up every moment of it. And this today, hopefully, will be a really nice moment as well. So we're enjoying ourselves.
I'll throw you up to the commentary team.
Yeah, Doc, Rod Jamison, congrats again. Good luck today. Hey, the girls have just the progress in their third year, skill-wise, strategy, game style, big improvement.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting there. We're far from perfect, but certainly the way they attack the contest has been probably the most impressive thing from a coaching perspective. All the other elements, skill and strategy are nice add-ons, but it's very much is a contest game footy, so that's probably been the feature, and obviously today is going to be critical. The team that can apply themselves best in that phase will go a long way towards winning the game.
What do you need from the girls today? What's important against Carlton?
Yeah, I think, well, as I just said, the contest will be really important. They've got a really good spread of talent across the park, and so the game will be, it'll ebb and flow. There's no doubt that they'll have their moments, but I think what's been a really nice feature thus far is just the capacity to remain consistent and play out games right to the end. And I'd envisage that this will be one of those ones which will require, late in the fourth, going at the same intensity as we are early in the first.
Doc, it's Shiloh Curtis here. I just want to ask you some questions around maybe your structure coming into today. Obviously, Courtney Cramey's back in. She's played a fair bit of footy in the back line the last few years, but you've moved her up forward this year, such are the riches of your defensive end. And then last weekend we saw a little sneaky move forward from Chelsea Randall. Was that to just try and get some extra Ks into her legs? Or, we know that Chelsea's a great forward player. Is there a chance that we might see her moving forward today?
Yeah, one of the things we sort of preached early on was to just have that versatility across the group. Chelsea went forward against North, I think, during the year and had a bit of, probably about a quarter and a half there. So it's just something you can add in. And clearly having CJ in the front half gives us that flexibility because, she can roll back. Stevie Lee's running past me as we speak. She can go back. We've got a few. So, it's a nice situation to be in.
And given your forward line at the moment, you've got Stevie Lee, who's not super old in her own right, but you've got, Hatchard, who's in the team, who's only 21 this year, Jones and Shear, who are 20. What has been your messaging around those young players prepping for a game like this? It can be a pretty big occasion. You're playing at Adelaide Oval, and I think some people might think that potentially the home crowd could potentially be an extra weight on your shoulders rather than an extra step that you stand on. What's been your message with those young kids this week?
No, I think the crowd will help us. I don't think it'll be a problem. But yeah, for the younger players, we've preached normality in an abnormal week. Just do what you normally would do. Don't do more, but don't do less either. Make sure you're just getting about your work. Justine Mules worked a 5-hour shift for the council yesterday. I got to training at about 10 or 9:30, and I said, "You got to go to work after this." She said, "No, I just finished." So no, it's a normal week, and they'll be fine. They've sort of managed the situation throughout the year, and I'm pretty confident they'll do so today.
From a distance, they get the balance right, Doc. They seem to, don't they? It's like with the balance of footy and work and then the engagement.
Well, there's no choice. Everyone in AFLW's got another job. So I had my other job on Friday night. They've all got theirs during the week, and then we come here and just give everything we can and hopefully come away with a result.
Did you work your way through the traffic today okay?
Yeah, I made it all right, mate.
Hey, look, all the very best today. It's a big day. Wish you all the best and hope it's a good contest.
Looks like it will be, mate. Cheers.
Matthew Clark joining us down on the boundary, the coach of the AFLW side. His team are going through their final preparations down at the cathedral end of the Adelaide Oval. The Blues, meanwhile, during that interview, have made their way out onto the Oval. They're warming up at the Riverbank stand end. The crowd is continuing to build. It's overcast conditions, but hopeful of what will be a good contest on ABC Radio, Radio Australia and Grandstand Digital. Josh has been hard at work, and a chance now to hear from inside the Carlton camp. He's wandered and caught up with Steve Sellerbeck. Josh.
Stephen Sellerbeck. Steve, as a former Port Adelaide man, I suppose you don't need any added incentive to beat the Crows today.
Yeah, it's the song still doesn't sit well with me, the Crow song. Certainly there's a little bit extra for me. I always like to play against the Crows, let alone coach against them. So, no, look, it's really exciting. Obviously, the atmosphere already is, it's great for the girls more than anything, and it's, they'll really enjoy the experience, and we've obviously dealt with that throughout the week. But yeah, certainly it doesn't come around too often, these types of things, so they might as well enjoy it.
How have the girls dealt with the build-up? Coming in with that big underdog tag, has that affected them at all?
Not really. Certainly we know our best is good enough to beat anyone. Half said in his pre-game, this is just a step. Last week was just a step. Certainly that's not a ceiling for us. There is more improvement each week. So if we can step it up again, we're obviously in a pretty good space.
You look after the backs. Is there a more daunting job for a back six today than the Adelaide Crows? They're in super form. How do you stop them?
Yeah, look, certainly they're an electric forward line. Obviously Stevie Lee got us in round 2 comprehensively and kicked 4. So we're mindful of their ability to get up the ground and get back quickly. They like to get up the ground high and then obviously race back as fast as they can. So there's some strategies in place, but obviously if we bring that defensive pressure that we did and try to get the ball in our forward half for as long as we can, kind of alleviates their forward thrusts.
Been a great turnaround for these girls from wooden spooners to a grand final. What's been key to that?
Look, coming in November, I think just their camaraderie, it just seems to just grow each week. It's a different world in the female world, but just their talk and their chatter amongst themselves, and they do everything together. Certainly they're friends outside of the footy club, which is really important, but their trust in each other's ability, and obviously to play with that individual flair, and just to understand each other's games, I think is really improved and helped them understand each other going forward, which has helped the team as well.
Up to the commentary team.
Hey Steve, it's Shiloh Curtis here. Just wanted to ask you some questions about, geez, that's quite loud out there, isn't it? Just wanted to ask you some questions there around cohesion. It just seems last week that Carlton has finally clicked. We saw the combination of Davey and Press-Parkers. We see Harris and Vesio working well together, and Stevens and Harrington down in the back half. And what it seems like is that everyone now understands that they just need to play their role rather than be a star to carry the team. And it seemed like your best team game that I've seen Carlton play ever. What's been some of the stuff you've done around some of that cohesion work and encouraging the girls to play their role?
Look, it's just basically come back from, again, we started back in November, and it's just been about getting to know each other and understanding each other's strengths. You can have all the game plan in the world and strategies in the world, I think, but certainly if you don't have that pressure and understanding of each other around the contest, it doesn't, you can't win the footy. And if you've got the footy, the other team has to defend. It's pretty simple, and it doesn't sound like much, but at the end of the day, if you time in forward half is an in vogue comment and word at the moment in the AFL, but it's the truth. And if we can, if we limit them around the middle of the ground are able to get them forward, or get ourselves forward rather, and hold it in us for as long as we can, just alleviates any pressure for us going back. The cohesion, sort of question number 2, again, like I said, it's just getting to know each other's games. They've been together now for a group for a long time. The back six in particular, 5 rather, there hasn't been too many changes for us, so there is a genuine understanding of each other, an understanding of, when someone goes left, when someone goes right, what they're going to do when they've got their ball in hand, they're going to play on, or they're going to come back. So there's just a better cohesion understanding of each other that, when we have the ball in our back half.
And I want to ask you...
Steve, good on you. Appreciate your time. Steve Selipek joining us down on the boundary. We're not too far away from the national anthem getting underway. Shiloh and Jamo, just a final thought or two as the players gather in front of us as to who you think will win and why.
Yeah, we're just talking about the crowd, Clinchy, too. It looks like they've opened the eastern stand here, upper tier, so it looks like it's going to be up of 25. Again, just do everything I spoke around, the experience, the lines. They've been here before. They're playing at home. They've won their last 7 games by an average of 40 points. They get a hold of the footy. They don't give it up, and they're really hard at it. So I think Adelaide, for me, too good today.
Yeah, look, Adelaide, I think, for all the reasons that Rod just spoke about, but, I'm going to put something in here that finals football and grand final day is very different, and plenty of good teams have turned up and then not been able to deliver, and teams that have been the better team all season haven't been able to deliver. I worry a little bit about that extra expectation, today, that Adelaide carries a little bit more pressure today. They're playing against an extra player, and that is that pressure, or that grand final cup that they're about to put in front of them. It's theirs to lose today, according to everyone. So it's never fun playing grand finals like that, but if you win them, it's bloody awesome.
So the players have gathered down below us. Bethany Pole and Annabelle Simpson from the Australian Girls Choir will perform the Australian National Anthem. Let's head down for the formalities.
Local government and decentralisation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, would you now please join the coaches, players and umpires in standing for the Australian National Anthem to be performed by Bethany Pole and Annabelle Simpson from the Australian Girls Choir.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
So the formalities are now concluded and the players gather in a huddle in front of us on the broadcast wing. Carlton in a tight knit. Adelaide now breaking to go through one last run through. So final thoughts as players break into position. We heard from Shiloh and Jamo. Joel, who do you think will win this afternoon?
Look, it is hard to go past Adelaide, Clinchy, just based on the fact that in every game so far this season, all the ones that they've won since round 1, they should have won in round 1 against the Bulldogs. They kicked 1 goal 11. They should have won that game as well. But they have run over teams. They drew to play against Fremantle undefeated. They pounded them. They played North Melbourne with a Spruik team. They pounded them. They come into the preliminary final and they smashed Geelong. You look at the momentum that they've taken out of that game and the confidence, and I think they'll be really hard to go past. But Carlton, that performance last week wasn't their ceiling. They still have Darcy Vesio that can hit the scoreboard that didn't necessarily last week. Harris can hit the scoreboard a little bit more. They've still got a little bit of upside, but I think that Adelaide deserve to go in the favourites this afternoon.
And you got a bit of a soft spot for the Blues?
Just a little bit, especially the number 9. My partner Karen Harrington is lining up out there today. So look, they're really excited. I know Kez is really excited, and looking forward to I guess, taking part in. And what a stage that they've got, the Adelaide Oval. It looks like there's 30,000 in this afternoon. It's awesome.
I sent her some Indian takeaway last night, Clinchy.
Well, we were going to keep it quiet, Jamo, until he had the badge on the duffel bag and then on the back of the hat. So he's very public with it.
I ate that Indian too, by the way.
Final member of our team for just checking in on conditions once more. Josh Money is in the front row of the grandstand. Josh, welcome once more.
Thank you, guys. Grandstand debut on grand final day. Feeling plenty of pressure in the moment. Look, Carlton big underdogs today, but Brianna Davey, the captain, has won the first part of the day and won the coin toss, and the Blues will kick to the Southern Riverbank stand end. It's been pretty overcast conditions today. Certainly hasn't deterred the crowd, and the sun is starting to poke its head out. Not much of a breeze, a slight southwesterly breeze, but shouldn't affect things too much today. Crows were optimistic of 30,000 plus, and I reckon they've quite comfortably got it already. An absolutely massive crowd down here. Great atmosphere already, and for the moment the rain's staying away, so a cracking afternoon for football.
Thanks, Josh. Josh Money down on the boundary for us this afternoon. The AFLW Grand Final on ABC Radio, Radio Australia and Grandstand Digital as the Crows girls break and make their way out into their positions. Carlton now are just heading out as well. So we'll also keep you updated with the match taking place from Docklands this afternoon. North Melbourne taking on the Brisbane Lions. And for a large section of our audience, after this match, you'll be heading straight to the MCG for the Hawks taking on the Western Bulldogs. What runs through your head in these moments, Shiloh and Jamo, as they're getting ready to go?
Oh, you just make sure you line up and you find the right play you're supposed to have, and just a reminder about structures, and also just staying calm, breathing, and just playing. You play grand finals contest by contest. Don't worry about the outcome. Just win this contest and get to the next one. Win the next one, then get to the next one. The final siren will come eventually.
Courtney Crameri full forward, hey, deep in the square to start for Adelaide. Here we go, Clinchy, big crowd, big day.
Can the Adelaide Crows claim their second AFLW premiership? Or will Carlton complete the ultimate Cinderella story? Here's Joel Peterson on Grandstand AFLW.
Foley in the middle for the Crows, won it straight down to Phillips, gets the kick toward half forward. Van Dijk came out to meet it, spinning through the traffic was Martin, away to Phillips. Phillips inside the forward 50, ball bounces out the back. Harrington's there for the Blues, runs over the top of it, picked up by Stevens. Nicholas Stevens kicks outside the defensive 50 for Carlton, looking for Walker, who traps it, flicks the handball back over to her head toward Brazzali. She's gang tackled by a couple of Crows. An early sign of intent from Ange Foley. Lays the tackle and locks the footy up at left half forward. Adelaide attacking to the northern end.
Quickly tossed up. Jess Foley wins down the tap, trying to get the clearance. Davey onto it for the Blues. Picks it up with a hand pass tied up against the boundary line. Prasparkas hugs the line. It's not a great kick as Cox sat underneath it, but then dropped the mark. Vesio trying to get involved. Randall tried to swap it out for the Crows. Quickly kicked forward by Walker, who got it to half forward, but Adelaide have the numbers. Van Bargen working it forward. And now a chance for Davey once more, trying to knock it out. Little toe poke gained valuable ground as it came to Loynes. Her kick is smothered by Randall. Great intensity to start this contest.
That was
a minute gone.
Awesome by Randall, and we know that she's cat-like in the way she plays her game, but this is why Randall needs to be talked about when we talk about the best players in the competition, because she is right up there.
She's 1A, if not 1. And that is such a great effort from one of the leaders of this side. Jess Foley in ruck has the initial tap, didn't go very far, so she slapped it out. Came to Sarah Hosking, whose kick squirted out toward the broadcast wing. Brazzali's there for the Blues. Chips to half forward. Vesio slides in, marks. Great take. Wanted to get up and go, but Cox was able to hold her up. Darcy Vesio's a kick and a half from home for Carlton at right half forward. She sees Moody in the pocket, goes short to Prasparkas. The number 3 pick in the draft, the lefty. He's going to get 50. Prasparkas marked at 60 metres out. Vesio runs up to her and gives her a push and says, "On your bike, Maddie," to the top of the goal square. And Maddie Prasparkas will open the scoring in this AFLW Grand Final with the assistance of a 50-metre penalty.
Didn't see what it was for.
Dana Cox ran through the protected area.
This would be the perfect start for Carlton. Prasparkas pops it through and tries to fire some life into the visitors here at the Adelaide Oval. Carlton on the board first. They're 1 straight 6. Adelaide yet to score through 2.5 minutes of the opening term on Grandstand AFLW.
Well, Adelaide got the footy out of the middle. They went forward 2, looked ominous early, but 12 disposals to 4 at the moment. 75% efficiency to Carlton, using the football well. And with that 50, puts a score on the board, and that's exactly the start, Shiloh, they were after in the big game.
Absolutely, and really good to see Matty being able to put that ball through at point-blank range. But it's errors like that finals pressure can put on your shoulders a little bit. So we'll see a little bit of that today as the first quarter opens up.
Carlton on the board first in the AFLW Grand Final. As we just pause for a moment or two for television before resuming play. This crowd has continued to build all the way to the back at the Bashir stand. Back in the middle, tap one the way of Downey, but straight to Phillips, who sends it to far forward. Shear gathers, wants to give the hand pass inboard. Nice linking up with Hatchard. Now Martin trying to give the hand pass back to Phillips at centre half forward. Squeezes a kick to Shear. It bounces just wide of her at half forward. Now the foot race is on, under pressure. Was able to bust off a tackle from Jess Hosking and kick inside the 50. Bouncing ball to Mules, who gathers and swings on the right boot. Little toe poke got to Phillips, who tries to get a hand pass over the top. Under pressure it comes out. Great smother play by Harrington as she lunged on the footy. Ball still in attack for the Crows. Stevens went through, couldn't break the tackle, and the umpire will ball it up 35 metres out from the Crows' goal.
Crows probably trying to overuse the ball there a little bit, trying to be too team-oriented. You just want to try and get that ball in as quick as you can.
Foley and Downey in ruck. Jess Foley straight down to Hatchard, threw it on the boot, bounced off Van Dyke, top of the goal square for the Crows. Cramey and Jess Hosking both chase the ball only as far as the boundary line in the scoreboard pocket. It'll be thrown back in.
I think that comes a little bit too shallow with the pressure that Carlton are applying. They're just trying to get it out and just have a free kick or a free handball, but the pressure's great.
Their work inside 50 was probably the only thing that let them down last week, Adelaide, in that dominant showing. Foley back spot. Wins it down over the top of Downey, straight to the feet of Gab Pound, who slides in on top of the football. She's quickly tackled by Eloise Jones, and 30 out from the Crows' goal will have another ball up. Nearly 5 minutes played. Carlton lead by 6.
Jess Foley flicks it to the back. Chance still for Mules. The hand pass to Phillips, tied up against the boundary. Sparkus with the smother, and it goes out of play. In the right forward pocket under the old scoreboard here at the Adelaide Oval, or otherwise known as the Eddie Betts pocket.
We talk about pressure and that Carlton's applying. Marinoff has been given Jess Edwards as her tag. Marinoff has not touched the ball as yet.
Toss back into play. Jess Foley in front position, trying to palm it down. Marinoff's tackled on hands and knees, trying to knock it out. Davey brought down by Phillips. There's no room forward, and the umpire will come in and ball it up once more. 40 metres out from the Crows' goal at the Cathedral end. It's Carlton 1 straight 6. Adelaide yet to score.
Eddie owns all these pockets here, clinching.
Ball thrown back in. Worked well by the Crows through the stoppage to Hatchard, who eyes the sticks from 40. And Hatchard gives this crowd a reason to celebrate. Wonderful work from the stoppage. The ball came her way. She burst through. And a lovely right foot kick to get the Crows on the board. Scores tied, 1 straight apiece. 6 minutes gone, opening term. The AFLW Grand Final on Grandstand AFLW.
Well, for all the talk about Marinoff and Phillips through the middle, there's one player this year we haven't spoken enough about, and that is the transformation of Anne Hatchard. She's a brilliant ex-basketballer. Her hands are so clean. She's probably the most efficient ball user by hand in the team, and her work in and around the clearances this year has just been phenomenal. We know she's played up forward in previous years, and so stoppages inside 50s her bread and butter, really, Rod.
And they needed someone to actually stand alongside her. Adelaide had the attacking side players available. The ball went loose and it was an easy goal.
Charlotte Curtis and Rod Jamieson with you on Grandstand AFL. Foley one down the tap. A chance for Phillips. Her kick was smothered. Marinoff has a go at it, trying to clean the congestion. Downey cleverly with a little boot to it. Gave up ground, though. 4th onto it for the Crows. Pound laid the tackle. Careful not to fall in her bat. A chance for Loynes of Carlton. All cleaned up by Marinoff. She'll take a free kick for too high. Defensive side of the centre circles.
2 tough nuts there. Marinoff and Loynes. You do not want to be in the middle of that contest.
Neither of those two will take a backward step. Katie Loynes, who turned 33 last week in the win over Fremantle, kicks up toward half forward. Jess Hosking bats the ball loose to Taylor Harris. Her first touch of it. Handball back to Prespakis. Prespakis to the left-footed Nicola Stevens, who chips the ball back to left half forward. Sarah Hosking gives chase. She was pushed as she went to ground. And Hosking will take a free kick 60 metres out from the Carlton goal, but no one's home as Walker now, Dalton in fact it is, tries to get back toward the goal square. Hosking kicks into the pocket looking for Harris. It'll tumble toward the boundary line. Allen kept it in for the Crows. Taken by Vesio. Vesio to Lucas Rod. Kicks toward the goal square. Mullane in the van. Had it knocked away from her over the goal line for a rush behind. The Crows trail the Blues by a point. 7 gone here in this opening term.
Interesting there from Sarah Allen. She could have let the ball go over the boundary. She chose to keep it in when they were probably in a bit of an outnumber situation. So maybe one of those kind of pressure errors.
Chelsea Randall brings the ball back into play. A free kick going Carlton's way for a throw against Jess Foley. And Downey will take it 53 metres out from goal. Vesio wants it long in the goal square. She'll send it in that direction. Randall sets herself in front. 1, 2. Couldn't hang on to it at the last moment. McCormick picks it up for the Crows. Keen to get it out of the congestion. That's a good kick to Hatchard, who marks inside the defensive 50.
A pace or two inside the arc. And Hatchard on the eastern side. She chips outside the defensive 50, finds fourth.
6 touches for Hatchard.
Been prolific. Fourth kicks up the eastern wing, but it's out of bounds on the full. Van Hagen can't keep it in. Let's go downstairs to Josh Money.
Guys, Chelsea Randall, as expected, has the job on Taylor Harris. Neither of those players, Matt, were fit for the round 2 clash, but they did have a very interesting matchup in the grand final back in 2017 when Taylor Harris was at Brisbane. She lost that day, certainly lost that matchup, and will be looking to get one back over Chelsea Randall today, a couple of years on and in new colours.
Thanks, Josh. A 50-metre penalty here against Van Hagen, and it means that Gab Pound all of a sudden has been taken within striking distance.
Yeah, she threw the footy away like she had it in her control. The footy was out on the full and she just threw it away and the umpires pinged her.
Pound, previously a forward player, has been working the back half in the last 12 months, so can kick goals.
She's kicked 2 goals for her career on a 45-degree angle, kicking from about 40 metres out. Pound strikes it well. She got the distance. Allen touches it on the goal line. And the Blues lead by 2 points. They're 1-2-8. Adelaide 1 straight 6 through 9.5 minutes in the first quarter in the AFLW Grand Final.
Sarah Allen runs outside the goal square and bangs it outside the defensive 50 for the Crows, but it'll come back in. It's marked by Sarah Hosking. Hosking chips inside the 50, over the head of Mullane, not being able to mark Randall, butted up her own work, spun through a tackle, banged it outside the defensive 50. Hatchard collects, handball inboard to Considine. Considine jams it on the boot, up towards centre half forward. Wilson in the foot race with Ponta, brings her to ground. Umpire Pace holding the ball. The 2 youngsters, it looked like Ponta may not have even had possession. Wilson brought her down, earns the free kick for the Blues, swings it across the defensive 50 and finds Harrington.
It's going to be a stall gift-like sprint, wasn't it, at the moment? Just Ponta couldn't take control or get it further down. Great tackle.
Harrington sends it wide, looking for Dalton. Free kick holding the ball, and Carlton will take the advantage. Nicola Stevens is away, takes a bounce, kicks around the outer side, looking for Vesio. She was able to nudge Allen underneath the footy, and it rolls out of play at left half forward for the Blues. They're 1-2-8, Adelaide 1 straight 6. A crowd of well over 25,000 here at the AFL Grand Final for the women here at the Adelaide Oval.
Umpire comes the requisite 10 metres in to toss the ball back into play. The Rucks set themselves on the front point of the centre square. Carlton into attack. Bree Moody, the reigning Carlton best and fairest, goes to ground, tries to do the roving. Fourth, wrenches it free. It comes out to Georgia G for the Blues. She kicks to left half forward. On the bounce, collected by Dalton. She's tackled by Rachich. Got the handball away to Edwards for the Blues. Now Rachich goes back in. Edwards in there as well. Ball just came free at the very last minute there, not before the umpire scooted in and said we'll have a ball up 55 metres out from the Carlton goal at left half forward.
And Dockland's first goal the way of the Brisbane Lions through Cam Rayner. They're 1 straight 6. North yet to score. Davey gathers, tied up against the boundary, squeezed the kick to Loynes, who tries to pick it up queenly, but she's turned it straight over to Lee, who turns it straight over to Moody, who marks it left half forward. Brianne Moody wheels onto her right boot, kicks looking for Harris, up she went, couldn't take the mark. McCormick's behind, able to clear the ball with a long kick in the middle of the ground. Plenty of Carlton players there though. Wilson couldn't quite take the mark. Now Stevens is tackled by Edwards, by Phillips over the shoulder. Carlton will take the free kick in the middle of the ground.
Fourth touch there from Nick Stevens. She's having a really important role to play right now in the rebound work from Carlton.
Only averaging 8 for the season. She sent it wide to Davey, who finds Edwards. This kick worries Jess Edwards generally. She put it inside the forward 50. Rachich able to mop up for the Crows. She didn't take the mark, but she got a free kick in the end. So Rachich inside the defensive 50, a dangerous kick. Randall couldn't mark. 30 out from the Crows' defensive goal. Van Hagen there to mop up. Now Randall's away and running. A handball on the edge of the 50 to Dana Cox, who bangs it into the centre of the ground. Jones skies and marks. Wonderful take, Eloise Jones. The Crows are out. She looks inside the 50, looks for Phillips and finds her. And the darling of the Adelaide Oval has marked 45 metres out directly in front for Adelaide.
Well, it started at back half, didn't it, too? Ranchis came wide to Chelsea Randall. We know she's experienced and got sure hands. Shiloh touching on maybe a bit of the jitters. But Adelaide were able to run it out. What a mark in the middle, and she just reads the football so well.
Well, if she can kick this place will go absolutely nuts. Phillips from 45 didn't get a real good piece of it. It falls on the ground in the goal square and it's socked through. Considine off the deck. It fell short. She collected the spoils. And Adelaide get their second. 2 straight 12, the Crows. They hit the front. Carlton 1-8 after 13 and a half minutes. Your experts on Grandstand AFLW, Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson.
Well, I think, we talk grand finals, we talk pressure, right? And obviously you need to rely on your big game players, your elite players to play the role. And there was a bit of a pressure error there in the back half there, but Randall was able to mop up. I loved how she rebounded. She knew she had a bit of space. She got the ball out. There was a steadying kick. The steadying kick was really important. There's composure in this Adelaide team. You can start to see them start to settle right now and repeated movements forward and... Phillip, her overlap run's fantastic, isn't it?
It is. That's where I think, just the experience there. And then you see Eloise Jones take an absolute screamer in the middle of the ground. She had to take it. She holds possession. Adelaide go forward and away they go. Carlton just need to pick their work rate up in the middle of the ground with their clearance work.
Adelaide won the tap. Marcus with the hand pass and set Mullane up. She was tackled and the locals thought that was holding the ball, not given.
Adelaide are on top in the clearance work and the ruck work, and here they go again with the first possession.
Hatchard once more trying to take it out of the ruck, tackled by Mullane. Davey has a go. She's thrown to the turf by Martin, who's still in the outer of the 2 centre circles. Adelaide by 4 points, thrown up. Hatchard did well to compete and then laid the tackle. This is a hot footy at the moment. Mullane finding no way forward. We'll do it for a third time.
Erin Phillips just reattaching her right boot there. Downey in ruck, pushed out of it by Hatchard, who screws it forward, looking for Martin on the end of it for the Crows. Just attacking side of those centre circles where the ball stayed for about the last 30 seconds. Phillips went without it. Cramey was in there trying to get a handball away. Davey eventually did for the Blues to Brazzali. Tumbles the kick forward. It's paddled on by Dalton intelligently to Harris, who's taken by Randall. Wonderful tackle. Chelsea Randall. The wall in the Crows' defence stood tall, brought Taylor Harris to ground and wins a free kick at centre-half back for Adelaide.
Taylor Harris couldn't do any more with that, could she? She had to take the ball, the contest, and just a better player to bring her down.
And there's not probably a better big game player in this competition than Chelsea Randall. That is the player you want on your team for grand finals.
Randall to Ratchik. Ange Foley was able to get a little soccer on to Jess Foley, and all of a sudden there's now a bit more room. Cramey off the outside of the boot, kicks to space, hoping that it'll stay in. Thompson offers a chase after it, Harrington after her. And it rolls out of play, and it will be a throw-in. 35 metres around from the Adelaide Crows goal.
We talk experience. Courtney Cramey, the last South Australian women's state captain in the old system before we got AFLW. Plenty of experience on the field for the Crows today.
Jared Polat with a goal for North Melbourne. They're 1-1-7 to the Brisbane Lions 1 straight 6 at Docklands. Thrown back in. Martin trying to rip the ball clear for the Crows. Can't do so. Van Dijk over the top and the ball stuck underneath a couple of players. 35 metres out from the Crows goal at the Cathedral end.
Jade Van Dijk, of course, one of those players coming off a premiership. Best and fairest in a premiership year for Hawthorn in the VFL. Downey in defence for the Blues, wins it down. Brazzali clears the defensive 50. Dalton flies at centre-half back, can't mark. Randall goes in for the Crows, frees it to Marinoff, tumbles it inside the forward 50. It'll bounce for Jones. Wonderful handball to Martin. Open goal, bangs it through. How clean was Eloise Jones? And Hannah Martin on the end of her good work. Adelaide out to a 10-point lead. 3 straight plays Carlton 1-2. 17 gone first term.
Eloise Jones is an absolute star. We saw what she did through the middle in that previous goal link-up, but her hands are just so clean and she's so poised and she's such a role player. She's a forward player, but she's not hungry for goal. She's just going to play her role and she understands how to get the ball where it needs to go, and she makes players around her look better with that, just that selflessness and how she plays her footy.
And that wall of defence for Adelaide too. Chelsea Randall involved, Ebony Marinoff, and we spoke pre-game, the weight of numbers, the amount of footy Adelaide get in, the Carlton defence, they're going to be under enormous pressure, and they were outnumbered on that occasion.
Rod Jamieson and Charlo Curtis with you on Grandstand AFLW. So Carlton kicked the first goal of the match. Adelaide with the last three. Phillips with the clearance. Brazzali unable to juggle the mark. Downey onto it for Carlton. Hand pass to the space of Davey, who's tackled, brought down. No whistle. In fact, Carlton have been given a free kick and Davies taking the advantage. She is off and running. Sends it inside the 50. Dalton the target. Crashing the pack was Randall. Lucas Rod gathers front and centre with the hand pass away to Hosking. The shot from Sarah Hosking is offline and it bounces through for a minor score to the left-hand side. Carlton 1-3-9. Adelaide 3 straight 18 through 18 minutes opening quarter.
Well, imagine being Sarah Allen today. When Harris pushes deep, she gets her. And when Vesio pushes deep, she gets Vesio. So she's moving between those two players today, doing a terrific job.
Chelsea Randall plays on from the goal square for the Crows. Not a great pick in the direction of Allen, who collects on the bounce. Nice handball over the top to Mules at right half back for Adelaide. She kicks down the eastern side. Cramey overran it. It came to Jess Hosking at the back, who bangs it inside the forward 50. And like she so often is, Randall is there to mop up in defence for Adelaide, and she's away and can clear.
Called to play on. She's good enough to get around the traffic with the hand pass to Cramey, who kicks around her body to the outer wing. Not a great kick for Mules, and in the end, the mark was comfortably taken by Sarah Hosking. And another 50-metre penalty. So this is a third against the Crows. Carlton have only been able to make one of them pay on the scoreboard.
1 goal, 1 from the 250s, and here's another chance.
And this is right on the eve of quarter time. So this is a golden chance here.
But just another infringement on the mark.
Sarah Hosking directly in front, 40 metres out after the siren of quarter time. She doesn't get the distance as it's short, probably about 10 metres to the right-hand side, as you can hear the cheer from the Adelaide fans at the Riverbank stand in. What an entertaining opening quarter. Carlton jumped out of the blocks, kicked the first goal of the match. They had a couple of shots after that, and then Adelaide finished with the next 3 goals of the quarter. Quarter time in the AFLW Grand Final, and it's the Crows leading by 9 points, 3 straight 18 to Carlton 1-3-9. The goal scorers for the Crows, Martin, Considine and Hatchard. Meanwhile, for the Blues, Rasparkas is their goal scorer. In the men's match taking place at Docklands, it's locked up at 1 goal, 1-7 apiece. That's through 10 minutes. The goals coming through Cam Rayner of the Brisbane Lions and Jared Polak of North Melbourne. Quarter time in the AFLW Grand Final at the Adelaide Oval on ABC Radio, Radio Australia and Grandstand Digital.
Get the latest news wherever you are with the ABC News app.
Just recapping our breaking news this hour.
Top stories from your state, across Australia and around the world.
The people are on the verge of racing up.
Choose your topics of interest.
Plenty of storms continuing across the north though, and that is going to continue tomorrow.
And watch ABC News live on the go.
Just joining us is a media conference live.
Download the ABC News app. ABC News, Australia's most trusted news source.
The AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows and the Blues. You're with Grandstand.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Darcy Vessio's a kick and a half from home for Carlton at right half forward. She sees Moody in the pocket, goes short to Prasparkas. The number 3 pick in the draft, the lefty. He's going to get 50. Prasparkas marked at 60 metres out. Vesio runs up to her and gives her a push and says, on your bike, Maddie, to the top of the goal square. This would be the perfect start for Carlton. Prasparkas pops it through and tries to fire some life into the visitors here at the Adelaide Oval. Ball thrown back in. Worked well by the Crows through the stoppage to Hatchard, who eyes the sticks from 40. And Hatchard gives this crowd a reason to celebrate. Phillips from 45 didn't get a real good piece of it. It falls on the ground in the goal square and it's socked through. Considine off the deck. Downey in defence for the Blues, wins it down. Brazzali clears the defensive 50. Dalton flies at centre half back, can't mark. Randall goes in for the Crows, frees it to Marinoff, tumbles it inside the forward 50. It'll bounce for Jones. Wonderful handball to Martin. Open goal, bangs it through.
The AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows and the Blues. You're with Grandstand.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
The highlights of the opening quarter as heard on ABC Grandstand. Adelaide leading by 9 points at quarter time in the AFLW Grand Final. 3 straight 18 to Carlton 139. Matt Clinch alongside Joel Peterson, Rod Jamieson and Charlo Curtis, your experts.
Yeah, great start for Adelaide, wasn't it too? A little slow to get going. Carlton really did probably control the first 4 to 6 minutes, and with the opportunity to have a shot on goal through giving away a 50-metre penalty and ultimately having 3 in that first quarter. So I'm sure Matt Clark and the rest of the coaching group would address that particularly quickly around, look, they've had the opportunity to score through your indiscretion on 3 occasions. Just settle down, have a look, step back, and even if it's a metre further back than you think you want to do, you don't want to give away any ground to your opposition, but you can't give up 3 50-metre penalties too. In defence, Chelsea Randall, absolutely outstanding. She's the player on the ground that's covered 125 metres gained also too, but going at 100% with her 7 disposals, and Anne Hatchard with 7. Erin Phillips 6 contested. Sarah Allen also that key defender going down there against Taylor Harris, who's only had the 1 handball, and Chelsea Randall really double teaming her at the moment. Probably need to see Taylor come out a little bit further out just to where they're playing the game at the moment, but mid-ground clearances, Adelaide on top. In the air, Adelaide on top. And when they go forward, they've got multiple options, Shiloh.
Yeah, look, probably the inefficiency of Carlton inside 50 has been really damaging. Carlton, I think they're inside 50 count. They're sitting at 11. They're plus 5, 11 and 6, plus 5. And they're only 1 goal 3 on the scoreboard. So they've had their opportunities. And we know in women's football, repeated entries inside 50 is super important. And it's about depth. You've got to go inside 30 for you really to have a legitimate shot on goal. But they've had 41%, plus 5% in time in possession, Carlton. So they've had their opportunities. And you'd hate for them to get to the end of the game and just worry about, well, did we miss those ones? Did that first quarter really cost us? So disposal efficiency, making sure they're being composed in the forward part of the game, forward part of the ground is going to be really important for Carlton.
Do you reckon it was the classic case of Carlton had the momentum early and just didn't capitalise, and then it completely swung the way of Adelaide late in that quarter, and you just see what the execution of this side is like when they have that period of momentum in the game, that they were able to make it count on the scoreboard?
I think even with the fumbling at the moment from Adelaide, they're fumbling and have got the ability to mop it up and the time, and then when you have moments in a game where you go into the middle there and Eloise Jones takes a mark like that, and then it goes down, Erin Phillips takes a contested mark like that. I think if you can get something from Carlton to generate the spark that they need, the crowd continues to grow. So it might be 25-30 here today. So they've certainly got it against them at the moment. Carlton need to find a way.
And I think the other thing is with Adelaide's list, they've just got a lot more players that have just naturally talented, got class by hand or by foot, and can use the ball better just naturally. So I think sometimes that rises when you're under pressure, particularly when you've got little time. That natural talent really comes to the fore, and that's what Eloise Jones has got in spades. So it's going to be a great contest. This is a lot of fun.
Charlotte Curtis alongside Rod Jamieson at Docklands in Melbourne. It's the Kangaroos 139 leading the Brisbane Lions 128. That's 16 minutes gone in the opening quarter. Goals to Rayner and Polak for the respective sides. Meanwhile, here at the Adelaide Oval, it's the Crows leading by 9 points as we're just about ready to get the second quarter underway. Umpire holds the ball aloft and tosses it in the air. Neither ruck were able to get a decisive tap onto it. Nick Stevens had a chance. Downey follows up. Little toe poke to half forward. Harris could have got a shove in the back. The umpire said yes. And Taylor Harris will take it in the middle of the ground. Just short of the edge of the centre square. Eyes darting, looking for options long. Brianne Moody wants it long. She heads in that direction. 3 Crows set up in front of her, and Jess Foley is one who's able to take the mark. 40 metres out from her defensive goal at the Cathedral end.
The AFL's Patrick Keane tweeting that there's 44,000 people and counting here at the Adelaide Oval for this grand final, which is an absolutely monumental result. They've opened the top tier of the Riverbank stand. Sarah Allen now kicks long down outside defensive 50 for Carlton on the eastern side, taken by Van Dyke, who puts it over the top to Harris. Good to see Harris getting involved as you called for, Jamo, a little bit higher up the ground. She's just in advance of halfway on the eastern side wing. She kicked for Sarah Hosking, who couldn't take it. Taken by Dana Cox for the Crows. She chips inboard, and Eloise Jones is able to take it, mark, and give off to Phillips.
Phillips, who kicks long. Here's a chance for the Crows, and breaking is Thompson. She hit the ground running, charges inside the 50, takes a bounce, runs to the goal square, and puts it through. Classy finish from Stevie Lee Thompson, and once she claimed the mark, there was no stopping her. Adelaide extend their lead. 4 straight 24 to the Blues 1-3-9. We've played 90 seconds in the second quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
Right, I want to talk about classy finishes. That was fantastic, but that was set up from that really smart kick there from Erin Phillips. Yeah. She knew she had 2 players to advantage, and instead of just kicking long and for depth for them to run onto, she just popped it up, looped it up high, so one of those 2 were going to be in the advantage position. Very hard to defend those kicks, isn't it? Just run onto it. Easy chest mark in the end, and away they went.
Well, as a defender, the last thing you want is to get over the back, and particularly when you got 2 and someone to shepherd 2 on 1, you're always going to find it difficult. The balance for Carlton's going to be, yes, I want Taylor Harris in the contest, but I don't want it too deep in the contest. I don't want it on the wing getting the footy. You need to get it between the centre and the arc, and that needs to be. Otherwise, you're going to have key defenders just going to drop back and fill holes.
Hatchard out of the middle, socket forward by Phillips, taken by Stevens at centre half back for the Blues. Now a long kick up the line, and Ange Foley able to work Dalton under it. Just a little bit of experience showing out there for Foley, who kicks to right half forward. Chloe Shear, wonderful mark overhead.
So strong, Chloe Shear, through the hips and the shoulders. Fantastic.
Had Edwards bearing down on her and marked a couple of metres away of the numbers at the 50 at right half forward. Kicks to full forward. Phillips in from the side. Can't take it, but does the roving. Slips a tackle. Handball to space. It's going to be paid for a high. Phillips was collected high.
She is so smart. She knew there was so much pressure around her, and everyone is Phillips aware, Phillips conscious when she's within range of goal, and she just snuck that ball out along the ground towards the boundary, away from the traffic, and the extra pressure came over her shoulder. She's the number 1 player in the competition for freeze 4.
Jess Hosking just went at it, didn't she? She just went down to follow the footy and then really just wrestled her or tackled her a little bit too high.
A little bit reckless.
Yep.
Just so professional in how she thinks about the game, Phillips.
So Phillips couldn't make the distance earlier, and it led to a Crows goal from 30 metres out. Slide angle, right of centre. She brings the Adelaide Oval to its feet. Erin Phillips wheels away in celebration, and the Crows are kicking away in this AFLW Grand Final. 5 straight 30 now, Adelaide. Carlton 1-3-9. Adelaide with the last 5 goals of the game. We've played 4 minutes in the second term.
I bumped into her dad last week, Greg Phillips, the champion for Port Adelaide and Collingwood too, and he was just walking the grandchildren into the creche. There was quite a few of them, but played in the slowdown here, which is the old timers here raising funds for a charity. And Erin used to play in those games when she was 10, 11, 12. I played against her a couple of times, and just the skill and the talent at such an early age was a standout.
Living her dream, Erin Phillips, and dominating on the biggest stage. Here she is trying to get the clearance. Hand pass to Marinoff. The Crows will go forward once more. It's over the head of Stevie Lee Thompson. A chance for Pound to clear. Hand pass under pressure, and there's no way forward at the moment for the Blues out of defence. There's a good tackle stuck by Martin.
Well, just the 3rd time you've called Marinoff's name today, and this is the dominance of the Crows. Hatchard and Phillips travelling at 9 and 11. And Marinoff's touched the footy 3 times today.
Jess Foley won it down. It spilt to Stevens. She was tackled a couple of times. Foley wanted a free kick as she was thrown to turf. Picked up by Davey, tackled by Marinoff, not coming out of there. At true centre half forward, Adelaide into attack will have a ball up. 5 minutes gone, second term on Grandstand AFLW, the 2019 Grand Final. Adelaide by 21 points. Foley slaps it down for the Crows. Hatchard to Van Hagen. Left foot kick inside the forward 50. Marked by 4. Front spot. Gab Pound couldn't do anything about that. And 4th will go back from 40 metres out and try and put Adelaide another to the good.
Way to numbers, inside 50s at the moment, 12-10 in favour of Carlton. But albeit Adelaide are winning so much of the football, they're tackling 21-12. They just can't get it out of the defence, Carlton.
Long road to this stage for Renee Forth. Missed the whole first season of the AFLW. She lines it up as her kick got the carry, not quite.
Inside 50s this quarter, 5-1 in favour of the Crows, and we're 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in. Ominous.
Carlton started so promisingly, but all of a sudden they're on the back foot at the moment as Nick Stevens brings them back into play. Finds Van Dijk in the left back pocket. Decides to switch play to Harrington, who has Pound running hard into the right back pocket, and all of a sudden play might open up. No, Adelaide ensuring that's not on offer. Good chasing by Stevie Lee Thompson.
And it's
Chip
this.
over the top, just missed the intended target, Sarah Hosking, Charlo, and it goes out of play. Throw in.
That's the kick where they're having difficulty this quarter. They just can't get that kick up on the arc or just rebounding out of the arc there. So great defensive pressure there from the Crows. They've just slowed the pace of the game down too a little bit, Carlton, with how they're playing the game. They're just trying to maintain possession a bit more, which I think is good. But they're just having difficulty with Adelaide's defence. It's so intense.
Crows 5-1, Carlton 1-3. 22-point lead the way of the Crows, who come inside forward 50 again. Lee pumps them in, but Harrington stands tall and takes the mark. 40 metres out from her defensive goal. Assesses the options, has Jess Hosking running past. Elects to kick on the right boot toward Moody, who flies in the pack. Hatchard was there, couldn't take it. Dalton goes to ground. She's tackled. Marinoff in there to make sure the ball wasn't coming out. And on the eastern side at left half forward for the Crows, still inside their attacking half, another ball up.
Adelaide by 22 points. Jess Foley one down the tap. The tackle was high on Sarah Hosking, who will take the free kick at right half back for the Blues. Just need to try and relieve the pressure. Try and get the ball down the other end. Hosking short of options, decides to send it long in the direction of Loynes. Allen got rid of her, couldn't claim the mark, but is back onto it. Sends a high ball straight back to half forward. Shearer with a hanger. Able to take a great mark, 60 from goal. Waste no time, sending it forward, point to the target, pulled in the mark. She'll run into the goal square and finish with class. What a great passage of play for the Crows, and the Adelaide Oval all of a sudden are on their feet. They've skipped clear with the last 6 goals of the match and 3 goals in the opening 7 minutes of the second quarter. Adelaide by 28 points, 6-1-37 to the Blues, 1-3-9.
Oh, just how good was Chloe Shear? And then just again, the ability to get it on. Where Adelaide are clearly on top at the moment is in those contests. One, they're tackling, but just they're out the back. They're getting to the side. There's a free player. It opens up the play, and then they're getting away from the Carlton defence. And again, we just keep talking about the sheer pressure now that Carlton will be under. Adelaide have gone forward. They got 6 straight and 6 individual goal scorers. So the options now are starting to clearly open up.
Ball back in the middle and the pressure really on the Blues to mount a response, but the Crows come forward again. It's worked to Phillips. Soccer off the ground, didn't get any purchase on it. Davey charged out, so too did Jess Hosking for Carlton, taken by Van Dyke at centre half back. Tries to handball through a mess of traffic. Can't get any purchase on it.
My head's still stuck back with Chloe. That was Mother-like.
Yeah.
That was absolutely magnificent.
Just watch Jess Foley here too. She got a big knee in the ribs in that centre bounce contest.
She won it down inside the forward 50. Cramey picks up, handball to fourth, wheels around the body, kicks to the left forward pocket. Thompson won it down, goes to ground, picked up by Van Dyke for the Blues. Mules slapped it forward but threw it. Free kick and advantage, and Nick Stevens will bring it out for Carlton.
Stephen trying to find the defence. Just a little bit of relief at the moment. She swings the ball to the last line of defence. The mark unable to be claimed by Dalton.
Nick Stevens is getting a lot of her possessions at the moment, really deep inside the defensive 50. I want her taking that kick that releases the ball from the 50. Potentially Harrington's got to play that deeper role and Stevens plays up higher because Stevens' kick is much better. She's a much more efficient user of the ball, and that kick is so important for Carlton right now.
Adelaide by 28 points. Jess Foley was able to get rid of her opponent in the ruck, send it inside the 50. Jones couldn't take the mark, taps it to the advantage of Shear. She's tackled. And Harrington gathers for the Blues. Get us out of here as she sends a long ball looking for Sarah Hosking. She couldn't juggle the mark. Barnhagen could.
Shear hasn't moved right now. She's just grabbed at her knees straight away in that last tackling contest. We know she came back from an ACL just this year. She had last year off, would have been drafted and played with the Crows last year, but she's not moved right now. Still holding that knee. Or shin, potentially.
It's the right knee as she's lying on her left-hand side. Oh.
The vision isn't great.
Oh, no. Chloe Shear is down, having taken an absolutely mammoth mark at centre-half forward only moments ago. The score, Adelaide 6-1-37, Carlton 1-3-9 as play is brought to a standstill. There's trainers around Chloe Shear. The doctors are out there. The umpire just walking over to make sure that everything's okay. We've played 10 minutes in this second term. She's getting to her feet, though, which is a good sign. And just trying to put some weight on that right leg as she moves away from the contest. The Rising Star nominee in round 2. She's kicked 9 goals from 8 games on the season. And that's an injury worry for Adelaide, and we certainly hope that Chloe Shear, that's not as serious as we've seen a lot of those other injuries be throughout the season.
Just approaching quarter time at Docklands, Joel. It's North Melbourne 3-4-22, leading the Brisbane Lions 1-2-8.
So Shear gets a big pat on the head from Chelsea Randall. Let's go downstairs to Josh Money.
Yeah, certainly a lull over this 45,000 plus crowd down here at Adelaide Oval as Chloe Shear limps off, looking a little bit proppy, but seemingly able to put a bit more weight on that knee. As Charlo mentioned, there is a bit of concern given that she missed all of last year.
Van Hagen kicks inside forward 50, taken by Jones out the back of the contest for the Crows. She snaps to the goal square and finds Ponta. And Danielle Ponta, who at one stage had 3 goals from 3 kicks last week, is lining up for her second, and it will only be her second kick. Oh, so efficient, Danielle Ponta. She struts in, 15 out, and slams it through. And Adelaide are ramming home this advantage here in this second term. Their 4th goal of the quarter, the Crows, 12 and a half minutes in. They lead Carlton by 34 points on Grandstand AFLW. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Shiloh Curtis.
Well, it was reasonably even at quarter time, albeit Adelaide were in front, but you go 31 disposals to 17 in this second quarter alone. Uncontested 13-7, 17-10 contested, 8-1 inside 50s. Adelaide are all over Carlton at the moment. I don't know where, Shiloh, Carlton can make a change. Can they bring anyone into the midfield, or can they make some changes to impact the game?
And this is the strength of the Adelaide team. You've got such depth that their centre-half back, Courtney Cramey, is playing in the forward line, and that's the strength of this team, is their depth, and that they've got all their best players on the park, and they've had them on the park all year. Sarah Perkins can't get into this team, and that's the real key. Their list is so strong, and they play so well together.
Adelaide with the last 7 goals. Here's a chance for the Blues. Pastraka's got it to half forward. Dalton couldn't quite get on the end of it. She tried to offer chase. Allen trying to get a hand pass clear. The Crows have the numbers. Harris could have almost had her legs taken out as players dive on top of the footy. And it'll be locked up 45 metres out from Carlton's goal. Just their second inside 50 for the quarter, as Jamo just told you.
It's the contest. Yeah, it's Chelsea Randall and Taylor Harris. It's just awesome.
Free kick will come to Carlton here as Jess Edwards was taken down off the back of the stoppage. She's 45 metres out from home, which is well beyond her journey. Hands off to Harris. Harris loads up, sends it goalward, and it's knocked through on the line. Not a bad strike from Taylor Harris. Just behind. 1-4-10 Carlton, 7-1-43 Adelaide, 33 points the spread, 14 gone second term.
Well, Carlton have to lock the ball in here. What they do on the 50 arc here is super important.
Allen runs the Crows out of defence, sends a long kick in the direction of Phillips. She's got a couple to compete against, but Hatchard just waited front and centre. Here go the Crows once more. Beautiful kick to the advantage of Jones, who's away. 1 bounce as she gets to half forward. 2 bounces as she gets to 50. She has Ponta racing towards the goal square, goes to the pass, gathers beautifully and kicks her third. Oh, what a fairy tale quarter. Adelaide moving it from defence to attack with absolute seamless transition. And Carlton, well, there's little they can do at the moment. The Crows out by 39 points, having kicked the last 8 goals of the match. They're 8-1-49 to the Blues 1-4-10.
And the scary thing about this team is Hatchard, 21, kicks to Jones, who's 20, kicks to Ponta, who's 19. And there's no expansion in this state next year. These girls can all stay together. That is the future of football in South Australia. For the next 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 years, right? You'd be very happy at the moment.
Yes. No, it's all about it's the group. I mean, any level of sport, you just got to keep your best players together and the opportunity that presents. And it's all around team, and you can chase what you want, but ultimately when you do finish up, you reflect on what you've been able to achieve together.
Just feel like it might be the genesis of a dynasty as Prasparkas comes out of the middle. And there's another of those youngsters doing so well. McCormick, 24 years of age, takes the mark inside the defensive 50. Her kick was poor, slapped down by Dalton inside forward 50 for the Blues. Picked up by Lucas Rod. Lucas Rod kicks around the body to the top of the goal square. Allen leads the race against Harris, fends her off. Handball away to McCormick, who curls it around the body, and Georgia G. The light frame of Georgia G clatters into Anne Hatchard and is able to hold on to the mark.
Well, debuted last year at 42 kilos, Georgia G. think she's pushing 50 now.
40 metres out.
Weight of my leg.
She's a good kick of the footy usually. That's not her best effort whatsoever. Harris flies at the top of the goal square. Can't mark. It goes to ground. Cox in over the top of it. Umpire will call for a stoppage. Top of the goal square for the Blues.
Well, better there by Carlton to get the repeated entry inside 50.
Need to somehow find a way to get a score here. Harris in the ruck up against Jess Foley. Davey tries to rip it clear. She's tackled. Ball's locked up 20 metres out as Pound lays the tackle. Umpire lets it go, and Marinoff, not surprisingly, give her long enough, she'll find a way to get it out. The Blues now with a chance. Davey with the hand pass to Prasparkas, off balance, throws it on the boot and can't quite control it.
Free kick.
As it's coming back, it's going to be a Carlton free kick though. The shot missed to the right-hand side, and Bree Davey
trying to work out what it is
being held.
Thought it might have been to Prasparkas for being bumped as she kicked.
Or too high maybe in the contest, but no, not quite sure.
Carlton fans won't really care how it comes about. As Davey goes back on a 45-degree angle, she's 35 metres out. How big all of a sudden has this kick become?
Well, they need a skipper to stand up, show the way.
Danielle Ponta with the last 3 goals for the Crows has swung this match heavily Adelaide's way. The captain needs to steady the flow. Davey comes in, strikes it well, and puts it through the middle. Can that be the lift the Blues needed to get going? Their first goal since the 2-minute mark of the match. Adelaide by 33 points, 8-1-49 to the Blues, 2-4-16. Meanwhile, at Docklands, quarter-time, North Melbourne, 3-4-22 to the Brisbane Lions, 1-2-8. Rod Jamison, Charlo Curtis with you.
Yeah, well, the skipper, isn't it, too? You just spoke around the quality players, the experience, the depth, and the leaders right at this very moment on the biggest stage. They've just got to stand up, and not quite sure what the free was for. It might have been Renee Forth gave it away just outside the contest there. Again, this is when you look at it critically. The club, Adelaide, Matty Clark would say, Carlton have had 4 shots on goals through 4 indiscretions at the Adelaide Footy Club.
Let's go downstairs. Josh Money.
Still no sign of Chloe Shear, who went straight down the race with that suspected knee injury. Not expecting to see her again today. The trainers have called for crutches and ice, so it looks as though her day is done.
Thanks, Josh. From the middle, it's all the Crows. Hatchard to Phillips. Phillips pumps it inside forward 50. Forth went up, couldn't mark. Stevens was taken down. Just got the handball away, and then Harrington's thrown into the turf. Picks herself up, gets out the back of the contest. Quickly onto it is Wilson. Jones lays a good tackle. They can't quite work it out. We'll have a ball up. Inside forward 50 for the Crows. They're just moving the ball at such a pace. 19 gone here in the second term. We've still got 2 minutes left. Hatchard works her way through the stoppage, retreats outside the 50. Handball to Ange Foley, who curls it around the body to the top of the goal square. Pound slid in, wasn't paid the mark. Davey goes in to assist her, can't get it free. And we'll have a ball up 25 metres out from the Adelaide goal at the Riverbank stand end.
Adelaide by 33 points. A couple of minutes to go to half-time. Free kick for a hold in the ruck, and it's going Adelaide's way. Jess Foley will take the shot on goal. Free kick against Downey, who got there late, had hold of the left arm.
Oh, it's soft, isn't it? Just play on in that occasion.
What a season for Jess Foley, though. Comes in because Rhiannon Metcalf goes down with that knee injury at the start of the season. Now she is here kicking a goal, hopefully, in a grand final.
She's played her role as the dominant ruck for the Crows. Can she kick a goal here? No. Puts it out to the right-hand side. 8-2-50 Adelaide to Carlton 2-4-16. 20 minutes gone, second quarter. The margin 34 points.
So Foley had a third shot last week. Interesting to see Taylor Harris on the bench receiving some treatment. Randall came flying in over the top from the kick in. Prasparkas took it. That was an almighty leap from the Crows co-captain. Jess Foley has it now for Adelaide. Handball to Considine, who ran into Downey, and that's not a place you ever want to be. Alison Downey easily claimed her in the tackle. Takes the free kick at left half back for Carlton and then gives it straight up and kicks it to Rachich, who marks on the logo for the Crows.
Just numbers back. Adelaide there too. The kick was to a target, but there was 5-on-1.
Their spread's phenomenal, and they just structure up. They're so disciplined, and they work just as hard defensively as they do offensively.
Rachich to Ange Foley, who sends it to half forward. Stevens gathers for the Blues, sends it out to the wing. Adelaide have all the numbers once more. The hand pass came to Chelsea Randall, who's trying to get around Moody with a little toe poke that'll work well. And she finds Martin. Still 60 metres from goal, though. Swings onto the right-hand side. Sends it inside the 50. Jones, the marking target, and gets up and claims it on her chest.
So smart there. She knew exactly where the ball was going to fall. She was caught behind the contest, and she did the extra work to get her hips in front of her opponent. She was able to take that chest mark and protect the drop zone.
Eloise Jones with a shot after the siren for half-time. Of course, Sarah Hosking had the same scenario for Carlton after the sign of quarter time. For Adelaide, this is a chance to give them a 40-point lead heading into the main break. Jones starts her approach, deep in the right forward pocket. Can she finish? Starts it at the right goalpost, bends it back. Has it got the distance? Yes, it does! What a flurry for the Crows in this second quarter. Finished on the ultimate high, with Eloise Jones kicking truly to answer back after Bree Davey had finally struck something for the Blues at the other end. Adelaide by 40 points at half-time, 9-2-56 to Carlton, 2-4-16. The Blues kicked the opening goal of the match. Adelaide then kicked the next 8 goals on the trot, including 3 in a row from Danielle Ponta. Almost as the feats of Darren Jarman-like in a grand final as she turned the game on its head. Injury concern as well for Chloe Shear, who's off the ground and looks unlikely to return. We might just quickly get an update from Josh Money as well. There were concerns about a couple other girls, Josh.
Yeah, so as mentioned, Chloe Shear very unlikely to return today, and a slight concern for Carlton staff forward Taylor Harris, who was getting her right calf strapped, but looks as though she'll be all right to continue.
Thanks, Josh. So 3 goals to Ponta, individual goals to Jones, Martin, Phillips, Stevie Lee Thompson, Considine and Hatchard. Meanwhile, for the Blues, their 2 goals coming through Davey and Prasparkas. Half-time here at the Adelaide Oval in the AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows leading by 40 points. The second quarter just getting underway at Docklands. It's North Melbourne, 4-4-28, leading the Brisbane Lions 2-2-14. There is a call of that available via the AFL app, but let's get the thoughts of our experts at half-time. Charlotte Curtis and Rod Jamieson.
Well, just a great quarter by Adelaide, 6-2, and that's what they've been, or one of their key strengths all year, their ability to kick goals and kick a big score, and they've been able to do that in pretty much majority of their games except one, and again they were able to display that, and their efficiency in the way that they can move the football not only from the centre but also from defence. And then we saw a couple of opportunities, the space over the back, the speed that they provide, and that is reflective in the scoreboard of 9-2, and Jess Foley missed probably an easier one, and Renee Forth also in that quarter too. So just the defence, I keep singing the praises of Sarah Allen. I just think she looks so composed down there, and she's got a big opponent when Taylor goes deep, but the way she uses the football, when she's kicking out, they know where they need to go as well, and they're getting it right out of that, I guess, defensive area or the high area of efficiency that Carlton want to keep the footy in, but Adelaide just continue to get it out. You go through the numbers and the quality players that you want to get in the football, but Anne Hatchard, for me, at the moment, she's had an incredible first half. She's had 14 disposals, 10 clearances, or 7 clearances and 10 contested, and certainly kicked. I think she's kicked 1 goal as well. So it's actually the ability, as we spoke pretty much from right at the outset, Shiloh, the amount of experience, the quality, the ball winners, the speed is really the fundamental keys that Adelaide have been able to really build on as the game got better. Carlton had that first 4 to 5, 6 minutes, but outside of that, I think they've really struggled to get back into the game.
Well, 2 things stand out for me, and that is around your ball-winning ability. We know, we spoke at the start of the game that the game's changed. It is really a one-on-one game now, and skills are really important. But for me, look at the Adelaide Crows. They're number 1 in contested ball-winning, in contested possessions this season. But when you look at that as a proportion of your overall disposals, it's actually the second lowest in the competition. And that means that they're getting more, they're winning more free footy than they are contested footy. But when they need to win the contested ball, they can. And then their work rate, their spread, and their ability to create opportunities for uncontested possessions, that just, for me, it sheds light on their willingness to work for each other. And that's the difference for me, that they're able to break out of contested situations to create uncontested footy for themselves. And then when you're doing that, you get to control the game. You get to control how you bring the footy inside 50, and more often than not, you'll get shots in front of goal. And today it just seems like every single player on the field for Adelaide's team, they're encouraging the one-on-one contest because they know that it's almost like they just know that they can beat their direct opponent on the day. So it's a hard game for the Blues right now, and it's hard to go into half-time when you're down that far on the scoreboard and, you feel like the game's gone. So you've still got to front up. And what would you be saying, Rod, to your players, to your charges, that, that the second half is not going to be, almost a waste of your time in lots of respects, because you still got to turn up. There's almost, they reckon maybe we might have 50,000 people out here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You've still got to get up and play in front of 50,000 hometown people.
Well, I think Daniel Harford too. The message has to be, it's about, one, the personal pride. It's certainly, two, the collective as the club and the brand that you wear on the front of your Guernsey. But you've got yourself here for a very good reason. And the reason is you're one of the best sides in the competition. Now, that first half is not the level or the standard that we want to play. So we need to sit down, review very quickly and assess what we need to do. Now, what do we need to do? Do we need to move some players around? Find a way. You need to win your position. And that's what you need to do. And each player has to do, first of all, to win the position and then shut it down. And you touched on earlier, Charlotte, in that second quarter, Carlton were trying to slow it down, but they couldn't execute accordingly to maintain possession, and Adelaide were then able to get numbers around. So you've got to be able to take control of the game, and the opposition at some point is going to win that back, but you've got to win it back quickly as well. And when the opportunity opens up, you go forward. But for me, we've got to start again. Don't even take any notice of the scoreboard right now. I think that Daniel would be saying to his team, it's about, let's have a look at where we can win and where we are winning, and then slowly build on that. And albeit it is 40 points, 6-7 goals, probably in women's footy, it's a big margin to shut down, but it's not insurmountable. And you know what? How big a story would that be if Carlton actually outscored Adelaide in this second half? So you'd be looking to go in at three-quarter time, let's outscore the opposition. And we need to do it by doing X, Y and Z. Let's start there, win your position, and let's get your head up and attack the second half as you would it was the first part of the game.
11 inside, 50-3 in that second quarter, the way of the Crows. They managed to kick 6 goals to 1 to extend their lead from 9 points at quarter time to 40 at half time here in the AFLW Grand Final. You can hear in the background the Australian Girls Choir providing the halftime entertainment at Docklands. It's North Melbourne 4-5-29 leading the Brisbane Lions 2-3-15. Goals to Polak, Hall, Turner, Tyson and Ben Brown. Meanwhile, Rayner and Berry, the goal scorers for the Brisbane Lions. Halftime in the AFLW Grand Final. Great to have your company wherever you're listening around the country. For the moment, we'll pause and get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Anita Savage. Labor leader Bill Shorten says the federal government's pledge to give cash to low-income earners for their power bills is an election con. The Treasurer Josh Frydenberg today announced one-off payments of $75 for singles and $125 for couples to help with cost of living. Nearly 4 million low-income earners will be eligible, with the measure to be included in Tuesday's budget. Mr Shorten says the way to lower power bills is to act on climate change.
Today, this government's rushed out an election con. $75 for pensioners, that's nice, but that doesn't make up for 6 years of rising electricity prices.
The New South Wales Premier has unveiled her new front bench after winning last weekend's state election. Belinda Pavey takes over the role of Water Minister after Niall Blair's departure following aggression he says he was subjected to over water management. Gladys Berejiklian says the new cabinet includes a number of key portfolios such as customer service, water and regional youth affairs. For the first time, energy and the environment will be together as a portfolio, overseen by John Keane. And the Premier says there will be new ministers for regional youth and regional transport.
I'm proud of the team we've put forward. It's a combination of experience and new blood. It's a combination of people from the bush and from the city, and it really will allow us to put our best foot forward. I can't wait to get stuck into the work. I can't wait to get on and deliver what our communities expect us to do so.
North Queensland Police say a car crash that killed 3 teenagers and critically injured another likely happened several hours before being discovered. Eric Barker reports.
A 19-year-old man was found alive and trapped inside the upturned wreckage of a car near Tully Gorge Road yesterday afternoon. Police say the car carrying 4 men from Ayr had left the road, smashed into a tree and plunged into the river, where it was later found by a fisherman walking along the bank. 3 men aged 18 and 19 died at the scene. The 4th man was airlifted to the Townsville Hospital, where he remains in a critical condition. Police say the driver was among those killed.
Police have described a terrifying attack in Melbourne's north that left an American tourist with bleeding on the brain as one of the worst assaults they've seen. Security cameras captured the attacker chasing his 32-year-old victim through a car park in Preston at around 11:30 on Wednesday evening. Detective Senior Constable Matthew Calero says the victim was knocked unconscious and then struck and taunted while he lay on the ground. He says the tourist had to have emergency brain surgery and also suffered a fractured jaw and can't remember much about the attack or what motivated it.
It's probably one of the most serious assaults I've seen. The vision is very confronting. He strikes him till the point where he's unconscious, hovers over him and appears to taunt him. Once he regains consciousness, he again continues the assault until he's unconscious again, hovers over him again and then leaves him in the middle of the road unconscious.
The chief executive of Facebook has called on governments and regulators to take a more active role in controlling internet content and for companies to be held accountable. The BBC's Mike Lee reports Mark Zuckerberg's comments were contained in an open letter to the Washington Post.
He called for the creation of independent bodies to determine what should be considered extremist or harmful material. He proposed greater adoption of a standard data format so users could move their information from one service to another more easily. And he suggested an agreed upon method across the globe to verify politicians and parties. But crucially, none of the ideas put forward by Mr. Zuckerberg would have a significant impact on Facebook's business model of tracking users in order to sell highly targeted advertising.
The US administration says it's cutting direct aid to 3 Central American countries, El Salvador, Guatemala and Honduras. The Trump administration has not given an explanation for the move, but US President Donald Trump has made slowing immigration from those countries a bedrock issue of his presidency. And back home, truck drivers are rallying across the country to highlight safety concerns since an industry watchdog was scrapped 3 years ago. Now taking a look at the weather. In Brisbane, sunny and currently 24 degrees. Sydney, a mostly sunny afternoon, 19 degrees at the moment. Canberra, partly cloudy and 14. In Melbourne, a shower or two, 17 degrees at the moment. In Hobart, cloudy and 14. Adelaide, a possible shower, 18 degrees. Perth, partly cloudy, currently 27 degrees. Darwin, partly cloudy and 31. I'm Anita Savage, ABC News.
We are one. Every Aussie has a story about the ABC. Just ask Guy Pearce.
I turn on Radio National every morning, watch ABC every night. All the news that I'm after, all the current affairs that I'm after, any lifestyle programs that I want to watch. The ABC is the voice that I want to hear.
Share your stories at abc.net.au/yours.
ABC, it's yours.
It's the Crows and the Blues. You're with Grandstand.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Phillips who kicks long. Here's a chance for the Crows and breaking is Thompson. She hit the ground running, charges inside the 50, takes the bounce, runs to the goal square and puts it through.
Van Hagen kicks inside forward 50, taken by Jones out the back of the contest for the Crows. She snaps to the goal square and finds Ponta. Danielle Ponta. She struts in, 15 out and slams it through.
Allen runs the Crows out of defence, sends a long kick in the direction of Phillips. She's got a couple to compete against, but Hatchard just waited front and centre. Here go the Crows once more. Beautiful kick to the advantage of Jones, who's away. One bounce as she gets to half forward. 2 bounces as she gets to 50. She has Ponta racing towards the goal square, goes to the pass, gathers beautifully and kicks her third. The hand pass came to Chelsea Randall, who's trying to get around Moody with a little toe poke that'll work well. And she finds Martin. Still 60 metres from goal though. Swings onto the right-hand side. Sends it inside the 50. Jones, the marking target, and gets up and claims it on her chest. Jones starts her approach. Deep in the right forward pocket. Can she finish? Starts it at the right goalpost. Bends it back. Has it got the distance? Yes, it does. What a flurry for the Crows in this second quarter. Finished on the ultimate high.
The AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows and the the Blues. You're with Grandstand.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
The sounds of the second quarter as heard on ABC Grandstand around the country. Adelaide putting a gap between them and the Blues. 6-1 to take a 9-point advantage at quarter time and turn it into a 40-point lead at the main break. Adelaide 9-2, 56 to Carlton 2-4-16. Matt Clinch alongside Joel Peterson, Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson up in the commentary box. Josh Money down on the boundary. A couple of goals for the Brisbane Lions. They're now 3-4-22. Trailing North Melbourne 4-5-29. So North holding a narrow 7-point lead there. And the Sheffield Shield final, which is taking place still at Junction Oval. New South Wales 2 for 149 after a first innings of 121. Victoria 289 and 219. So New South Wales trailing by 238 runs. Daniel Hughes on 33 and Moses Enriques on 15. Shiloh and Jamo, a few more thoughts as players make their way out into position as to what you're hoping to see in this second half.
Well, I think for me, something that, I mean, we've talked about Adelaide's dominance, but something that stands out for me is Adelaide's number one ball winner, Ebony Marinoff, and Stevie Lee Thompson, their number one goal kicker, the leading goal kicker in this competition. Both of them aren't in the game. Thompson's touched the ball once, Marinoff's touched the ball 4 times. Her pressure game's been good, but, you know, they're not in the game, and this is how dominant this team is, that their best goal kicker and their best ball winner, they're not in the game, and they're 40 points up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and from Carlton perspective too, I want to see Brianna Davey get a little bit more involved. Parkes as well, she needs to get into the footy. And when you have a look, Darcy Vesco too, like she hasn't really had much of it. Now, in saying that too, it hasn't been down there a lot either too. So the key players and the real ball magnets for Carlton just haven't had enough of the football again. I think that's what Daniel Harford would have been asking Joel at half-time of his team.
Yeah, they need to find a response there. A long way away from parity in this game, and it's been a dominant display from Adelaide thus far. Second half underway with Harris on the ball. Davies gone out from underneath her. Harris has gone down there, and Davies on the ground to the outer edge of the centre.
Like a clash of knees, I think.
It's not good either.
Yeah.
It's a knock on the knee for both of them. We know Harris was off the ground with that right calf before the game, and Davey, of course, had the knee last year in round 2 against GWS. What are you seeing on the replay there, Camo?
Both players. So you got Brianna Davies smashed her left knee into Taylor Harris's right knee.
It looks like Davies okay to continue, but Harris is coming off the ground. Davies just going to jog to her position. The kick will be taken by Georgia G.
The good thing was there was no sort of twisting action or anything. It just looks like one of those just clash of knees and really uncomfortable and a bit of a stinger. But I'd imagine they'll get her going, probably tape her up, bit of support, and they'll get her going again.
Could have been the absolutely worst start for Carlton. So Davey ends up with the football, flares it wide toward Harrington, had it knocked away by Ponta. Vesio got in there for the Blues, taken away by Marinoff, the two former Darebin Falcons. Marinoff kicks up the line. Jess Hosking collected it. Handball to Van Dyke. Away to Davey, whose kick was smothered in the centre of the grounds. The Crows still piling in the pressure. Foley goes in the centre circles. And from where it all started, we'll have another ball up still in the centre.
Josh Money down on the boundary.
Yeah, so Taylor getting her right leg looked at, the same leg that she had a calf problem with. She did jog off the ground, though, so hopefully not too serious.
Hatchard well tackled by Mullane, who's able to win a free kick in the middle of the ground and a chance for Carlton to go forward. She's going to go wide, though, to Prasparkas, who marks on the members' side of the Adelaide Oval. Looks further afield. Good leading effort by Dalton, punched away from her. Great defence by Chelsea Randall. She sees the ball out of play.
Yeah, Chelsea Randall, just that closing speed, her ability to influence the contest, whether she can get the fist in the contest or that body spoil on. You got two really fast players there in Dalton and Randall, and extraordinary Randall.
Adelaide by 40 points. The throw-in cleared both rucks. A chance for Davey, who couldn't get boot to ball. Now it's locked up in a tackle with Martin making sure the ball goes no further. Mullane the last to get up.
I don't mind Carlton's approach, though, putting Harrison the ball at the opening bounce. You've got to try something and put someone in there who's a bit dominant.
Ball comes to ground. Hatchard away to Mules, who was thrown off her kick. Marinoff's gang tackled. Got the ball away only as far as Davey, who handballs over her head as she went to ground. Vesio tries to clear some space. Marinoff bumps G out of the way. Handball to Hatchard, handball to Phillips. The Crows' big guns combine. Phillips kick up the wing, went through the hands of Harrington on the logo. Ponta out the back, leads the foot race, soccers it on. Jess Hosking across Stevie Lee Thompson. They go to ground. Van Dyke piles in as well. The Crows have worked it to half forward, though. On the broadcast side, we'll have a ball up. 3 gone, no change to the halftime score. It's Adelaide by 40 points, and Randall's just gone to ground.
Stevie Lee, I think it is.
Yeah, Stevie Lee.
Yeah, it's Stevie Lee Thompson. That looked like she was...
I think just in that, Joel, just in the tackle there. I think it might have been Jess Hoskins.
Yeah,
legs got
Hoskins
tangled up.
Yeah, almost kneed her in the back of the leg.
Yeah.
So this is not good signs for either club at the moment. As Stevie Lee Thompson is carried to the interchange bench. She's not really able to put any weight on the right ankle. So I think it is a knee concern. So we'll get Josh to keep an eye on that. Ball tossed up at half forward for the Crows. Vesio onto the ball for the Blues. Hand pass to Davey, who runs the boundary line, runs her full measure. Graham Moody's the target, but the kick never really got to her. And Randall, as she does so well, reading the play to take the intercepting mark at half back.
So Randall's off, kick smothered by Moody. Back to Randall, handball back to McCormick. At half-back, wrapped up and thrown down by Dalton. Just got away from it. Marinoff kicks the broadcast wing. Phillips! Oh, an outstanding mark in front of Vesio. In front of the Sir Donald Bradman Pavilion.
Just watching Chloe Shear down there, Joel. Got a big ice pack on her right knee.
Phillips kicks up the line. Big fly from Jones at the back for the Crows. Couldn't mark. On the ground was Hatchard. She won it down, and then it's going to be a free kick to Carlton in that contest. Stevens to take it at half-back for the Blues. She kicks toward the boundary line. Vesio will mark. Let's go downstairs. Josh Money.
Yeah, all happening down here. Stevie Lee Thompson getting her right leg looked at. Chloe Shear has limped out with ice on her knee. She looks done for the day. And Taylor Harris still having her right leg looked at.
Vesio short by foot to the captain, Davey. Now the challenge, because Adelaide's defence is set. That's a good kick, which finds the chest of Sarah Hosking. Directing traffic centre wing on the broadcast side. Call to play on. She's going to try and dance around Jones as she sidesteps in. Kick partially smothered though. And all of a sudden here's a chance for the Crows. Varnhagen knocked it out to the advantage of Martin. And now to Marinoff, who kicked off the outside of the boot towards the boundary line. It rolls out of play. And that'll be a Carlton free kick. The Crows leading by 40 points. Meanwhile, Brisbane had kicked 3 goals to 1 in the second quarter. A goal to North Melbourne. They're 5-5-35 to Brisbane 4-5-29. Approaching half-time there at Docklands.
Is that last touch, is it? Is that
yeah,
Right, obviously the Adelaide Crows fans are not a fan of the last touch.
No, I just don't think they've seen the AFLW before, a lot of them, because they would have been pretty familiar with it if they had.
It's in the SANFL over here, though.
Blues work it into the middle. Pound screws it around the body to Stevens. Stevens bounces it to the eastern side wing. Edwards collects after a fumble and then fumbled again but got it back. Slammed it on the boot to half forward and only to Rachich for the Crows, who she had a fumble as well. It was poked off the ground by Walker for the Blues. She toe pokes it into the forward pocket. McCormick back there for Adelaide. She collects, steadies with ball in hand and measures the pass for Marinoff just inside the defensive 50. Marinoff's kick battered down by Downey. Randall slides in for the Crows, tries to get it out toward Rachich, picked up by Mullane for Carlton. She was tackled, got rid of it, holding the ball. Free kick and advantage to Cox, who ran into a brick wall at half-back. Ball spilt loose to Davey. Davey kicks inside forward 50 to Hosking. Wonderful work from Jade Van Dyke, who bumped Cox down strongly. Now Hosking's laid it off to Vesio. She marks, wheels around, 20 metres out, snaps. Doesn't bring it back far enough for Carlton. Blues with a minor score. First score of this second half, 2-5-17. The Crows are 9-2-56, 39 points the margin, 7 gone third term.
Well, there was a bit of build-up there by Carlton as they rebounded the ball from their back half, and they worked through their bit of kickers right in. Bree Davey, Nick Stevens, Darcy Vesio's playing higher up the ground. So it means that they're a bit more purposeful with their ball use. They're going a little bit slower and they're just chipping the ball, working it forward with shorter kicks to try and maintain possession.
Allen with the long kick to half-back. Free kick going Ebony Marinoff's way over the shoulder. The tackle by Darcy Vesio in the eyes of the umpire. Left half-back. Pokes the kick, looking for Hatchard, who tries to fly. Mullane in front position, takes it for the Blues. Sends it back towards Vesio. McCormick came over the top. Jess Hosking trying to knock it on. McCormick will have another go. Has to try and break the tackle. Did well to stand up under the pressure. Got the hand pass to Jess Foley at half-back. She spots Cramery. The kick never got to her. And Davey was gathered high as she tried to spoil the mark. Boy, Davey a bit worse for her. It's been a tough quarter for her.
I feel the intent of Carlton is there, isn't it? They really are. The physical side of the game at the moment has increased.
They just lack the method.
Yep.
Davey chips short and wide to G, and now they're hemmed in. The Crows can funnel them toward the boundary line. G, in fact, kicks into Van Hagen on the mark. It spills to Marinoff. Marinoff's run down by Davey. Comes back to Georgia G, who pokes it inside the forward 50, only as far as Rachich. Rachich to fourth, who kicks to open space on the eastern side. It's only Jess Hosking there for the Blues. She had Edwards breaking inside forward 50. Hosking marks on the front edge of the centre square, kicks looking for Moody, but Allen held front spot against Bree Moody and takes an easy defensive mark.
And that's where they're missing the presence of Taylor Harris just there. They don't have that dominant target up forward, and Bree Moody probably just doesn't give him what Harris does. And really missing having that dominant forward.
Sophie Lee dropped the mark out of defence, but was taken high in the tackle. Let's head down to Josh Money on the boundary.
Taylor Harris running lightly on that right knee, trying to test it out. Stevie Lee Thompson doing the same with what appears to be her right ankle. She's had that strap. She looks more likely of coming back on the ground than Harris at this stage.
Adelaide have got the overlap here, clinch at the moment, but just in the contest, they have the numbers almost everywhere.
Cramey with a kick into the middle of the ground on the bounce to Van Hagen, who couldn't gather. Vesio came charging in. No free kick for too high. Vesio gathered the footy. Couldn't get a clean hand pass away. Jess Foley with a little toe poke to half forward. The numbers the way of the Blues, though, as Wilson kicks into the middle of the ground. Ange Foley, good mark. Knew the contact may come from the other direction with Walker coming late, but she was able to claim the mark.
Another that they've had success with off the rookie list, Ange Foley. She flares it wide to fourth. Fourth marks front point of the square. Looks up. What does she see inside forward 50? She sees Phillips. And any time you see Erin Phillips, the ball is going to be drawn to her. She takes a wonderful mark down low, diving forward. 30 metres out, kicking to the northern end directly in front.
And that's the danger of the Adelaide Crows forward line, is that they're so busy guarding the player, and Phillips had all that space to lead up and run into and just take that diving mark down low, but that space should have been covered as well.
So Phillips with one to her name already. To the scoreboard end, she leans back and strikes it perfectly. Erin Phillips pushes Adelaide's lead out to a game-high 45 points. This is as dominant a showing as you could imagine in a grand final. The Crows 10-2-62, Carlton 2-5-17, 10 minutes gone, third term on Grandstand AFLW. Your experts Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson.
I think one of the great improvements in the women's game is that lead-up now. I think the players, they can read the distance and they can allow the player to run onto that footy. And Adelaide have been able to do it all year, and there was another clean example there with the ability just to be able to. So Renee Forth just could sit down. She had a little bit of time because the switch was there. There was plenty of space. You touch on a shoulder. The defence are trying to man off, but at the minute they don't have the numbers to push back to fill in the holes, and Errol was able to run into.
Rod Jamieson with you on Grandstand AFLW. Phillips trying to get the kick away. Out of fresh air, Davey onto it though. Hand pass to Telly Lucas-Rod, and now to Prasparkas, who kicks inside the 50. Good effort in the end by Walker, who brought it to ground, and then laid a good tackle. But Randall wasn't in possession of the footy. So Chelsea Randall to take the free kick inside the defensive 50. Quick hand pass away to Rashik, who kicks to half back where Cramey takes the mark. Adelaide just moved the ball so nicely.
Oh, and they're going through the corridor again here, Clinchy. Cramey finds Jess Foley, handball off to Forth. Forth runs toward the eastern side wing, kicks to left half forward. Harrington leads the race to the ball. Ponta right there with her. Harrington goes to ground, scoops it up, taken in the tackle, got it away toward Brazzali. She dives in on top of it. Ponta goes back in, knocks it free. Out the back, Tilly Lucas-Rod for the Blues. Still in the centre of the ground. She's wrapped up. Ball won't come out of there, and we'll have a ball up. Right near the logo on the eastern side of the ground here at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows with the one goal here in this third term, but they lead by 45 points.
Approaching half-time at Docklands, North Melbourne by 6 points, 6-5-41 to the Brisbane Lions 5-5-35. Stuck underneath a couple of players, and it's not coming clear. Marinoff and Loynes on the very bottom of the pack. The umpire will ball it up just to the right of the two centre circles in the middle of the ground. Tossed up, Brianne Moody into the ruck for the Blues. One down the tap, but straight to Cramey, who gave the hand pass to Mules. Kick was partially smothered. Wilson was tackled when she didn't seem to have possession of the footy. Cramey, and it looks to be a little bit worse. Where is that? In fact, it might be Renee Forth who's slow to get to her feet. So we're sort of just on notice, making sure players are okay at the moment. And Wilson will take the free kick at left half back.
A little bit like we're working in the emergency department. Jess Foley would feel right at home out there. That's her day job. Defensive kick from Wilson.
Oh, no.
Down to Nicola Stevens, and Phillips gave chase, and Phillips has gone down in a heap.
Her knee.
Inside the forward 50 for the Crows. Play continues, but the attention of the ground is fixated on Erin Phillips, who lies in a heap as the trainers call for assistance. Carlton moved the ball down the broadcast side wing. You can see the strain in her face.
No one was around her too. She just went to a contest and stopped, and I think it's her left knee.
It was the change of direction that has brought Phillips undone as Marinoff marks at half-back for Adelaide. But this is a muted Adelaide crowd. The trainers call a stop to the game. And Erin Phillips, who has been the star of the show with 18 disposals and 2 goals to her name thus far, she lies on her right-hand side, 40 metres out from the Adelaide goal at the northern end, having attempted to change Stevens, change direction, and she's had her left knee, buckle under her.
Now, Erin's done an ACL before when she was playing basketball, and Chloe Shear we saw earlier, she's come back from that knee last year, and I've done 3 of them, and they're pretty uncomfortable, but you do know when you've done something that's pretty significant, and it's a pretty unmistakable feeling and experience. And her face and certainly Chloe Shear's face earlier probably told the tale a little bit. You know when it's something very serious.
It's been a crazy start to the season, both men's and women, hasn't it? But just the amount of knees that are happening, and there was always that is it the surface, is the game quicker, and it was always Docklands was part of that, and now it just happens too broadly and widely.
Well, we're asking the players to play fast, hard, intense footy, and certainly in the women's game, they're working all week, Monday to Friday. They're working 40-hour weeks. They're playing full-time. Essentially it is a full-time workload, and then they're playing full-time, and then they're the most tired, and they've got to play the most important game of the year at the end of 6 months where they're really fatigued. And physically and emotionally, these girls are really spent come this time of the year, and so their bodies have never been asked to do this much yet. We expect them to, we play 16 aside in this competition, not 18, so you've got to cover more ground in a really hot time of the year when you can be fatigued so easily. For me, I think there's a number of factors certainly in the women's games. It's not just our physical makeup, and we know there are some differences there, but I think the way that we structure up the playing and training conditions for these women, we need to really think about that so that their bodies can actually endure what we're asking them to do, because the men, we don't ask them to do the same thing.
So Erin Phillips is being loaded up onto the mobile stretcher, and that's what brings about the round of applause from this Adelaide Oval crowd. She is the darling not only of this city but also the AFLW competition, largely tipped to win her second league best and fairest on Tuesday night. And she did an article with Lauren Wood from the Herald Sun and spoke about some of the work she'd done in the off-season, going over to America and seeing specialists to allow her to run freely, and the changes she'd made to her running technique coming from basketball, where you are squatted down in a largely defensive position, to then adapting back to AFL, which was always her dream, to play this and follow in the footsteps of her father. And you can hear the hush around the Adelaide Oval, not only just for this injury to Phillips and her role, but the other injuries in which we've seen throughout the match. And it's been a real downer on what should be one of the absolute highlights on the season.
Well, Erin Phillips, she's having a good look around the crowd right now, but Erin, when she was a kid, as a 13-year-old, the story is that over here, Rod, that she was the best player of her age group, male or female, in this state. And she's the daughter or the child of an absolute hero of South Australian football. If she'd been a boy, she probably would have played a lot more footy. And she was away from the game for 19 years. You look at her teammates get around her right now. They're high-fiving her. They're taking her right through the corridor. I hope this isn't a long-term goodbye. I hope this is not what we think it might be, but how lucky have we been to see Erin come back after 19 years away? We just let her go because she wasn't a boy. She was just a girl, and off she went and played basketball and had an amazing career. And that's what the lack of AFLW has done for some of these women. They've had a career that's been lost. So pleased she's had the opportunity she's had.
So Erin Phillips is sitting up on the mobile stretcher, a standing applause around the Adelaide Oval. So many of her teammates have run to her, and you can see she's quite emotional on the mobile stretcher. But a thumbs up to the crowd, a wave to acknowledge their support in what no doubt would be one of the most trying moments of her professional career, which has had so many highs. And she's about to make her way off the Adelaide Oval, and we hope it's not for the last time.
I bumped into her dad at half-time, just out the back, and shook his hand and gave me a cheeky grin, and I'm sure he'll be down there very shortly to see how his daughter is.
It's not a moment you want to see, but what a moment. To see the adulation this crowd has for her, the respect that every player out there has for her.
Both Carlton and Adelaide players went across and gave her a hug or a kiss or a high five, and the crowd was up.
You would be hard-pressed to find a player in a competition, men's, women's, anything, that would receive that kind of well-rounded applause from every person within a stadium.
It was a standing ovation.
That was and we've talked about the record nature of this crowd today. And on the eastern side, in the Riverbank stand end, both the stands are packed to their capacity. Every person was standing.
It sort of took you back to Ted Whitten when he did the lap of honour around the MCG. Talk about an icon of Victorian sport. Erin Phillips is that for South Australia.
Play back underway with the Crows leading by 45 points after the stoppage for the Phillips injury. Davey takes it on the wing for Carlton, attacking side. Cramey at the foot of the pack tries to bundle the ball forward, but it's over the line. It's a last touch rule. It'll be taken by Katie Loynes. So the Crows 10-2-62, Carlton 2-5-17. We have played 19 minutes in this third term, and it's Adelaide by 45.
Loynes kicks long around the boundary line. Hatchard did almost enough to claim the mark. It's sort of hard to get the flow of the game back after a 5 or 6 minute break. There's a couple of minutes to go till three-quarter time. Adelaide leading by 45 points, and the umpire will come in and ball it up. Down to Josh Money on the boundary.
Still no sign of return for Taylor Harris, still getting that knee looked at. She's been getting treatment for a long time now. Good news for the Crows, though. Stevie Lee Thompson back on the ground.
Yeah, Josh, she's just standing now, but she's got 4 trainers working on her, so it's not know if it's just her knee or her calf as well, but not good for Carlton fans.
Ball thrown aloft. Martin goes in, lost a boot in the process, still came up with the football. Only got it as far as Downey, who slapped it to Vesio for the Blues. Handball to Prasparkas, defensive hand pass to Sarah Hosking, who had to do a little bit of work. In fact, it was Jess Hosking, back to Vesio, fended off, got a handball away in the tackle. Terrific tackle, Martin on Davey, holding the ball. No! Gee, Davey dropped that cold.
Just held on to Hannah Martin, just held on to her a little bit too long after she got rid of the footy.
And Martin's had her boot thrown over the boundary line by a teammate who thought it might have been a Carlton player's boot. It was Ange Foley, picked it up and slung it into the crowd just about. Now Hannah Martin's come to the boundary looking for her boot and she can't find it. Meanwhile, Dalton's got the ball for the Blues. She kicks to a 4-on-1 involving Bree Moody. Randall comes up with it for the Crows. Handball inside the defensive 50, only as far as Walker. Harrington in unfamiliar territory in the forward pocket, tries to screw the kick around her body, but it's marked by Dana Cox in the left back pocket for the Crows.
Cox looking to bring the ball short into the corridor where Randall takes the mark. She moves it short by foot to Jess Foley, who picks it up with the hand pass to Varnhagen at right half back. Almost run down by Tilly Lucas-Rod, but got the kick around the wing. Thompson with a little toe poke into the middle of the ground. Cramey had it, gave the hand pass to Marinoff, up and under kick towards half forward. Ponta flies, nudged underneath it by Stevens. Edwards' hand pass is intercepted. Here's another chance for the Crows. Sweeping hand pass from Hatchard, away to Anne Foley, who pops the kick to Ponta. 1-2, yep, got it. Claims the mark 35 metres out, directly in front. We've only had one goal in this third quarter. Fittingly, it was kicked by Erin Phillips, who is now off the ground with serious concerns of an ACL injury. Can Adelaide finish here just ahead of three-quarter time? Danielle Ponta, what a grand final, remember, she's had so far. 3 goals in that second quarter. Can she add a fourth? This is out to the right and won't quite get the distance. And Downey takes the mark for the Blues.
So Downey on the last line for Carlton. Good to see Taylor Harris coming back onto the ground as well for the Blues. Downey chips across the defensive goal and finds Dalton. The Rugby Sevens Olympic gold medalist with the Aussie Pearls kicks outside the defensive 50 through the hands of Loynes, taken by Brazzali. Handball to Harrington, gave it up to Considine. Considine kicks to centre half forward for the Crows. And the siren sounds to bring an end to a third term in which there wasn't much scoring. Adelaide with the only goal of the quarter, their only score of that quarter. Carlton could only add a minor score. But the talking point out of it will be the injury to Erin Phillips. It looks like a serious knee injury. And unfortunately for Phillips, she was taken off by the stretcher. At three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval, it's Adelaide 10-2-62 to Carlton 2-5-17. Goal kickers for the Crows, Danielle Ponta has 3. Erin Phillips had 2 before she was carted off. Hannah Martin, Eloise Jones, Stevie Lee Thompson, Ailish Considine and Anne Hatchard with singles. And for Carlton, their 2 goals through Maddie Prasparkas and their captain, Bree Davey.
Three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval in the AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows leading by 45 points at Docklands in Melbourne. Half-time there, and it's North Melbourne 7-5-45, leading the Brisbane Lions 5-5-35. 2 goals to Jared Polak, individuals to Hall, Turner, Tyson and Zeeble. Meanwhile, for the Brisbane Lions, all individual goal kickers there, Rayner, Berry, Cameron and Martin. So North Melbourne able to answer back late in that quarter after the Brisbane Lions were able to get on top and draw scores level. The match a lot of our audience are heading to after this match is Hawthorn taking on the Western Bulldogs. One late change there, Bailey Williams has been replaced in the lineup by Lewis Young. No late changes for the Hawks. Three-quarter time here at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows leading by 45 points. The Grandstand AFLW Grand Final on ABC Radio, Radio Australia and Grandstand Digital.
No room for chooks? How about quails? The April issue of Gardening Australia magazine shows you a small city garden packed with veggies, fruit and quails. You'll also find great step-by-step projects for autumn. Think big fern basket, a succulent pot or a spot of botanical dyeing and beautiful plants from snapdragons to old-fashioned shrubs. In the patch, it's time to put in leeks and carrots and take a fresh look at celery. Gardening Australia magazine, available from newsagents and gardeningaustralia.com.au.
The AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows and the Blues. You're with Grandstand.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Foley, she flares it wide to fourth. Fourth marks front point of the square. Looks up. What does she see inside forward 50? She sees Phillips. And any time you see Erin Phillips, the ball is going to be drawn to her. She takes a wonderful mark down low, diving forward. 30 metres out, kicking to the northern end directly in front. So Phillips with 1 to her name already. To the scoreboard end, she leans back and strikes it perfectly. Erin Phillips pushes Adelaide's lead out to a game-high 45 points. Defensive kick from Wilson. Oh, down to Nicola Stevens. And Phillips gave chase, and Phillips has gone down in a heap.
Her knee.
Inside the forward 50 for the Crows. Play continues, but the attention of the ground is fixated on Erin Phillips, who lies in a heap as the trainers call for assistance.
No one was around her too. Then she just went to a contest and stopped, and I think it's her left knee.
So Erin Phillips is sitting up on the mobile stretcher. A standing applause around the Adelaide Oval. So many of her teammates have run to her, and you can see she's quite emotional on the mobile stretcher. But a thumbs up to the crowd, a wave to acknowledge their support in what no doubt would be one of the most trying moments of her professional career, which has had so many highs. And she's about to make her way off the Adelaide Oval, and we hope it's not for the last time.
The AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows and the Blues. You're with Grandstand.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval in the AFLW Grand Final. It's the Crows 10-2-62 to Carlton 2-5-17. Matt Clinch alongside Joel Peterson, Charlotte Curtis and Rod Jamieson, your experts.
Yeah, look, really good to see Carlton actually just. I thought their linkages and I thought their chains of play, Rod, I thought were much better that quarter. They played shorter footy, I think, and to be honest, I think in AFLW, I think shorter kicking is becoming much more prized because you're emphasising skills and maintaining possession. And as a result, we saw them move further down the field. They got greater metres gained. They got repeated inside 50 entries. And that quarter, they were +4 on Adelaide just then, 2-6. So, it's working. They're probably just not having the structure. You're not using that structure in the first half of the game for them. So I think they're probably learning some stuff there. They had Harris off in that quarter as well, and so that probably, it just shows you that was a much more improved quarter from them. They slowed the game down, a bit more pressure at the ball carrier when the opposition had the ball as well. So yeah, improved signs there from Carlton, and you got to try and make sure that you take some learnings from a game like this, because I'm sure Daniel Harford wants them to hang out at this end of the ladder for a bit longer. So you look at this game and you go, well, this game's all about how much can we learn, what can we take away from this, so that when we're here next time, we actually can thrive in this sort of environment.
Well, we spoke at half-time around what could Carlton do, and Daniel Harford did make the change, didn't it? Taylor Harris straight into the middle, and then in the first contest, Brianna Davey and Taylor, come together, and then all of a sudden that's caused some more issues and concerns. So, one, you've got rotations, plus you've got quality of player, and you just can't do what you want to do and implement what you want to do. But I thought the intent of Carlton in that quarter was as good as it's been outside of that first couple of minutes of the game. So, again, it's just the quality, it's the speed, it's the ability to win the football. And, look, it's really, you're sitting here now, you've just got to finish off the game really well. Adelaide, conversely, too, just stand up, enjoy the moment. I wouldn't say it's over and done with yet, but you've got sort of 18, 20 minutes ahead of you to finish off a really good season.
And it's not every day you get to play in front of a crowd of 45,000 people. Just enjoy it. Both teams enjoy the experience, learn as much as you can, try and beat your direct opponent, and have fun, because that's why we play footy. That's why we start. That's why you should finish.
Down to Josh Money on the boundary.
Yeah, so good to see Taylor Harris back out on the ground. She spent most of that three-quarter break talking to the physios and getting assessed. It's mixed emotions on the Crows bench. Chloe Shear in absolute tears as she looks to battle with what looks like a pretty serious knee injury, and of course no Erin Phillips. So Crows down to 3 on the bench.
Adelaide 1 quarter away for the ultimate glory for a second time in the AFLW. They lead by 45 points. A free kick in the middle of the ground going Downey's way of the Blues. She kicks to Harrington, who's gone forward. Couldn't take the mark. Cox onto it for the Crows on the defensive 50. Kicks in the middle of the ground. Downey got rid of Jess Foley. Couldn't take the mark. Feeds the hand pass back to Stevens. And now away to Davey, who looks to send it wide to right half forward where G's got forward and takes the mark on her chest.
So Harrington forward and Vesio to the wing for the Blues. G gave off to Brazzali, who kicked inside the forward 50 looking for Loynes. McCormick went past it, couldn't keep it in. A throw in where the 50 intersects the boundary at right half forward in front of the scoreboard. At the moment it reads Adelaide 10-2-62 to Carlton 2-5-17. Then a dominant showing from this Adelaide side, just as it was last week, in front of a massive crowd, a record-breaking crowd here at the Adelaide Oval of more than 45,000 spectators. Davey for the Blues from the stoppage. Defensive hand pass to G. Bangs it on the boot back toward the edge of the 50. Cox overran it for the Crows. Loynes goes in there. Van Hagen takes it away from her. She was taken in the tackle. Jess Foley picks up for the Crows. Tumbles it toward Martin at the back point of the centre square. She gives the handball out wide. Now they've got runners coming through the middle. Hatchard flares it out to space. Ange Foley runs onto this on the logo. She can pick up and go.
She still hasn't quite picked it up now. She has, under pressure from Sarah Hoskin. The kick is partially smothered. Thompson feeds out the hand pass back to Ange Foley, who kicks inside the 50. Cramey at full stretch, couldn't take the mark. A cannon of players as Jones is taken out. Stevens can't get a clean hand pass away. And Randall takes the ball out of play. A little bit of a scrappy lead up as the Crows are taking into attack. They lead by 45.
It's like Ange Foley was chasing a chicken. She just couldn't pick the footy up, would it? She
How
just
can you
wouldn't
chase
come back.
chickens, Rod?
Seen Rocky do it.
Ball thrown back in. The comedy stylings of Rod Jamieson on grandstand AFLW. Marinoff from the stoppage. Left foot kick toward goal. Bounces in front of Ponta. Wilson and Edwards needed a little bit of talk. Wilson taken in the tackle by Stevie Lee Thompson. Almost ripped the footy clean off her. Then Wilson got it out to Davey. It trickles out. Top of the goal square for the Crows. Marinoff bustles her opponent off it. Came to Thompson. She threw a boot at it. It only trickled into the left-hand behind post. It'll be thrown in. Crows deep in their attacking 50 at the Riverbank stand end.
Matt Clinch alongside Joel Peterson, Charlotte Curtis, Rod Jamieson and Josh Money down on the boundary. At Docklands, North Melbourne by 12 points. Adelaide deep in attack. Downey in front position, one down the tap. Martin tries to get it forward for the Crows. Vesio onto it. Tackle dispossessed. Free kick Adelaide's way for a tackle when not in possession. Jess Foley, who competed in the ruck, is now going to be rewarded with a shot on goal.
She's had a really good day. 12 disposals, mate, 27 hit-outs, and she's kicked one behind, which she did in that second quarter. So she'd love to make amends and put a major on the board. She's had a very good day.
The former basketballer who played for Australia, played here locally with Adelaide and in the US in the college system. Can she kick a goal on the grand final stage? Not on this occasion. Out to the right-hand side. Adelaide lead by 46 points. We've played 3 minutes in the final quarter.
She missed her first 2 shots last week, of course, Jess Foley, so if she gets another, I reckon pencil it in.
We always say you never handball to a ruckman. Maybe that's
Oh, Nicholas Stevens kicks outside the defensive 50. Randall with a massive fly. Rachich goes in for the Crows, extricates it to Hatchard. Here is Jess Foley, bundles it inside the forward 50, only as far as Stevens, who's playing one of her better games in the navy blue. Nick Stevens today, 12 disposals. She chips into the left-back pocket for Jess Hosking, who plays on inside of Jones for the Crows, kicks clear of the defensive 50, and it's marked by Chloe Dalton.
I'd love to get Dalton involved in the play a bit more as she dodges and weaves on half-back, sends a long kick to half-forward. Nobody really there, though, for the Blues. Van Hagen didn't pick it up cleanly. Now she's under pressure from G, who laid a good tackle, and a chance still for the Blues. Walker picks it up, ran into traffic, holding the ball. Just as Carlton looked like they were out, the opportunity was quickly snatched away. Allen to take the free kick inside the defensive 50.
How good's she been today?
It's been outstanding. Just a little bit of game awareness, I think, from Walker. The cross-code rookie coming across from the Rugby Sevens. Allen, of course, one of the members of the All-Australian squad. 9 of them for Adelaide. Been such a reliable defender. A clearing kick marked by Brazzali between the wing and half-forward for the Blues. Brazzali pumps it back in the Harris direction. Gee, Prasparkas flew against Loynes there. Neither could take it. Mullane laid the tackle as the Crows came out through McCormick to Mules. Mules bangs it on the boot up the broadcast wing. Hosking back with courage. So too Jones. Hosking on her back, and Jones comes away with the ball for the Crows. Takes a bounce and a second. Runs to within 70 of goal. Kicks to the 50. Thompson marks and then plays on. Nicola Stevens knocks it away from her in the end. Thompson slides in. Martin now inside 50 for the Crows. Downey's thrown without the ball. Should have got a free kick. Nothing coming. Brazzali comes up with it for Carlton. She clears the defensive 50. Only as far as Mules. Tackled by Vesio. Away to Brazzali, whose kick was smothered as it tumbles down the broadcast side wing. Harrington's there for the Blues. She's taken by Rachich and escorted across the boundary line right in front of our broadcast position. Crows by 46 points. 6 minutes gone, final term of the 2019 AFLW Grand Final.
Well, if you're going to leave anything, you want to leave it on this deck, don't you, on the biggest day? There's going to be a couple of sore girls at the end of it.
Michelle Klein from the AFL just popping in, Shiloh. 53,034.
Boom!
Is the crowd attendance. Build it and they will come.
That is that'll be an official world record for Australian record, I should say, for a standalone women's sporting event.
And if you're in the vicinity of the Adelaide Oval, free entry, and you're a Crows fan, get here. 46 points they lead. The kick inside the 50 for the Blues. Loynes couldn't take the mark. Dalton under pressure, knocked off it. Loynes tries to get a little toe poke to it, but the numbers are Adelaide's way. Constantine, who is able to squeeze a kick to half back. Getting a cruel bounce was Van Hagen. Moody with a little kick forward, and that'll work. As the mark has been claimed by Dalton.
Just the numbers around the footy. Again, that's what we spoke about. Adelaide have been able to do that for a lot of the day, but in that passage of play, Carlton set up, got a numbers, win the football, and then able to get that quick kick back in to an easy chest mark for Chloe Dalton.
Chloe Dalton, who's represented Australia in Rugby Sevens. It's been a tough afternoon in front of goal for the Blues. From directly in front, 35 metres out, pushes it to the left-hand side. And a minus score. Carlton 2-6-18, trailing Adelaide 10-3-63. We played 7 minutes in the final quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
Allen with kick-in duties, runs to the back pocket, takes a bounce, loops the handball over the head of Harrington to Rachich. Rachich gave it up looking for Hatchard, who had a fumble, picked it up, banged it outside the defensive 50. Marinoff collected, handball to Martin. Last year's SANFLW best and fairest. Gee, Sarah Hosking went with courage there, as did Gab Pound. Ball spilt the way, though, of the Crows. Long kick from Lee up the wing toward Edwards of Carlton, who was taken into tackle. Just got the handball away of Ponta. Ponta then straight back on top of the football. Just palms it off to Forth, who is crunched by Jess Hosking and caught holding the ball. Forth was absolutely poleaxed.
Like Jess Hoskins come off the top rope, didn't she? And just really didn't see the awareness. I don't know if she came off the boundary or...
Hosking kicks up the line, floats over the head of Davey. Allen again to mop up for the Crows. Handball to Rachich. She kicks down the line only as far as Downey for Carlton. Defensive side of the broadcast wing. Al Downey's got it for the Blues.
Adelaide by 45 points. Third quarter underway. North Melbourne by 12 points. Harrington takes the mark, but and a bit of pushing and shoving going on with McCormick as well. The free kick is going the Crows' way.
You might want to keep your distance when you get home today, Joel.
Yeah, I might, actually, Jamo.
Talk us through that, Joel. I had my eyes on the screen.
The biggest shove you have ever seen in your life, Quincy.
Yeah.
absolutely enormous.
Karen was away.
Do you review these sort of things over dinner?
Oh, no, I don't give her any advice. I'll review the mark of Chloe Shear, but that's about it, I reckon. Rachich.
I'd be quiet if I was you.
Rachich kicks down the line. Of course, Shear was up with a hanger and used Harrington as a bit of a step ladder. That was a magnificent mark. She's gone off the ground with a knee injury since, as Chloe Shear, as has Erin Phillips. Kick comes to Wilson for the Blues on the broadcast side logo. Somehow getting it out of there is Marinoff. Such a good clearance player of the football. Brazzali goes in for the Blues. She throws a boot at it. It tumbles to the boundary line in front of the interchange gates. Marinoff and Prasparkas. Marinoff again first hands on the football. She's wrapped up by Dalton and Prasparkas. And we'll have a ball up broadcast side wing right in front of our commentary position. 9.5 gone, final term of the AFLW Grand Final. It's Adelaide 63, Carlton 18.
Rudy one down the tap against Cramey. Martin trying to break through traffic. Loins bumped off it. Vesio trying to gather up against the boundary line. Cramey's tackle was over the shoulder. Swamp on Twitter telling us that 53,034 is the fifth biggest AFL crowd, male or female, for any game played at the Adelaide Oval. A tremendous effort. The Crows by 45 points. Jess Hosking under pressure trying to knock the hand pass out. Davey just trying to move people to win the footy. She can't claim it as she lays a tackle. And on the very bottom of the pack was Martin, who was making no effort to knock it out. So Davey will finally win a free kick. Take it on the broadcast wing.
She's led well today, Davey, as the captain. She's just been a workhorse. She's just kept working hard and willing her team forward. And terrific mark there from Chelsea Randall, of course, across half-back.
Who else would it be? From the captain of the Blues to the co-captain of the Crows. Randall flares it wide now for Thompson, who almost had Walker bearing down on her, was able to evade the tackle, kick into the centre of the ground for Foley. Foley, of course, no stranger to premierships. She gets a 50 as Wilson encroached on the mark. And Foley, the 2008 WNBL champion with the Adelaide Lightning, goes to within 50 of goal, kicks to the pocket. Cramey takes an easy, uncontested mark, and they are lining up now for the Crows.
Well, the former captain of the South Australian women's team, Courtney Cramey, in the old system when we had the national champs before we played AFLW. She was the last captain for the South Australian team. Sure, she'd love to kick a goal here on Adelaide Oval.
35 metres out, left forward pocket for Cramey. She's kicked 2 goals in her AFLW career. She puts it across the face here. It's knocked back toward the goal. Stevens there for the Blues. She picks up, can clear, and Harrington marks inside the Carlton's defensive 50.
Harrington feeds the hand pass to Van Dyke at left half back, who sends a high kick in the direction of Loins. Nudged out of it. Got to Allen at the back for the Crows. Hand pass to Cox. Now to Ratchick. Hand pass back to Cox. Tackled by Lucas Tilly-Rod, who worked the hand pass to Harrington, and now to Loins. Can they get a bit more space at left half forward? The numbers are in the Crows' way, although it's not cleanly picked up by Forth. She did get a little toe poke onto it, though. And excellently worked tied up against the boundary line by McCormick, who got it forward, but Davey onto it for the Blues.
Yeah, Davey to Prasparkas by hand. Prasparkas kicks to half forward. Walker in the van. Right there with her was Cox. Did well to force the ball loose, only as far as Loins on the boundary line for the Blues, who lays somebody in against McCormick, who's gone down a little bit worse for wear. Comes out to Dalton. Dalton for Carlton, kicks inside the forward 50. Sarah Hosking can't take it. Taken by Edwards for the Blues. Now to Prasparkas. She handballs along the ground only as far as Allen, who collects at centre half back for Adelaide. Allen's little handball to Foley. Standing start, not her best kick. Just dinked it straight up and down and into the chest of Bree Davey.
Another injury concern as well here. As Erin Phillips has made her way out on the boundary.
She's getting another standing ovation as she comes around that boundary, Clinchy.
And the action is taking place in the left forward pocket, but all eyes are on Erin Phillips as she hobbles around the boundary line. And listen to this response. The crowd posted on the big screen 53,034. All eyes on Erin Phillips as this ball is tossed back into play. Adelaide by 45 points. The hand pass came to McCormick deep in defence. Her kick looking for Martin. Vesio onto it. The crowd are distracted with Phillips rather than what's going on. The kick by Stevens towards full forward. Harrington outnumbered. Cox onto it for the Crows. Prasparkas almost able to pinch it. Loins threw it onto the boot. On the last line, Ratchik is there, who should be able to clear through Allen.
Yeah, little one to Allen, who handball back into trouble. Ratchik taken in a tackle, got it away to Mules. 30 out from the Crows' defensive goal. Gets a nice shepherd as well from Varnhagen. Kicks clear to the eastern side wing. Stevens there for Carlton. Knocks it over the head of Cramey to Edwards. Edwards to Wilson by hand. Wilson for the Blues. Kicks toward left half forward. Ange Foley went up. Couldn't mark. Collected at ground level though. Squirted the kick up the eastern side wing. Stevens will see it across the boundary line, but it'll be a last touch free kick as Matt Clark and the Adelaide coaching staff make their way down to ground level, and the celebrations will start very shortly here for the Crows. Jess Hosking kicks inside forward 50, and Jess Foley stands tall and marks inside the back 50 for Adelaide.
Looks to switch play back to McCormick, who spots a free player inside the defensive 50. It's fourth. A lovely moment with Erin Phillips as she stopped and embraced Daniel Harford, the coach of Carlton, showing both players and as to what it means they know to compete on such a big stage. In the middle of the ground, the hand pass didn't quite link up. The Crows are just too classy as Cramey works the hand pass back to Marinoff, off balance, but she heard the voice in the middle of the ground and was able to kick it to Jess Foley, who marks.
So Jess Foley kicks inside forward 50 for the Crows. Maybe a little bit of cherry on top of the cake. Her kick in the direction of Ponta, dragged back in by Thompson as it fell short of its intended target. They all fall on top of the ball and it's locked up inside forward 50 for the Crows.
4-on-2 in defence there, and another Carlton player was able to come in right at the middle of the ground. Ev's kick's gone, and there's 5 Adelaide players just to...
Randall in ruck. Moody goes in on top of it for the Blues. Hosking clears the defensive 50 almost with the kick. Marinoff picks it up. She fires it high inside the forward 50, and the siren sounds. An incredible day in Adelaide. In front of an incredible crowd. The Crows have put on an incredible performance, and they're the premiers in 2019.
So Adelaide claim a second premiership in 3 years. The dominant team of 2019 are victorious on the deciding stage, and in the end it was emphatic. But it was bittersweet, the moment in which the third quarter where Erin Phillips went down clutching her knee. She's out as part of the celebrations, but it was hard not to feel heartbroken in that moment. But the Adelaide Crows women, they'll celebrate tonight. Winners by 45 points. The Carlton players, they gather below us. They shake hands in the middle of the ground. Such a phenomenal season in 2019, coming from Wooden Spooners to feature in the grand final. But it was the second quarter in which Adelaide ran riot. 6-1 to set up a 40-point advantage. And it was just the one goal kicked after half-time, and that came through Erin Phillips before she left the field. The Adelaide Crows winners by 45 points in front of a record crowd, 53,034 here at the Adelaide Oval. The thoughts of Charlotte Curtis and Rod Jamieson with you on Grandstand AFLW.
Well, we had some... coming into the game, Rod, we thought the Crows would get up. All the numbers said that they were going to be the dominant team on the day, and we know grand finals are a different game of footy to play. There's an extra level of pressure. Your Adelaide girls are at home. We knew it was going to be a big crowd. We were talking sort of 20, 25,000 people. Does that become a help or a hindrance? And as history will now tell, it was absolutely a help. And we've got nearly 50,000 people in here in the stadium witnessing a truly dominant performance all across the field in every single zone of the field. They just had depth all around the field today, and I don't think there was going to be a team that was ever going to beat the Adelaide Crows today, Rod.
We tried to find a way to see if it could actually happen, but just the depth of the quality, the experience, the youth, and all the lines, they were just able to display it. A little slow to start, but as the game got on, they really commanded the stage. And 3 goals in that first quarter to 1, 9 points up quarter time, and then Adelaide went into the second and third gear. 6-2 in that second quarter, and Carlton were only able to kick the one. And second half, Carlton didn't kick a goal, so only a couple of points where Adelaide too were only able to, in that second half, just kick the one goal. So the contest was actually so much better. And I guess the outcome of that was there was a fair bit of carnage along the way. And from both sides, there are key players. It doesn't matter whether they're key or not, they're part of the team. But some serious injuries will put a dampener on the day for both sides. But, gee, the stage was set. It was there. And then the crowd had to turn up. And Adelaide built it, and they came along and represented it. 53,000. What a huge day, a huge crowd, and a great performance. 2 premierships in 2 years. 3 years.
Chloe Shearer is one of those players who's being helped out with a couple of trainers to join the celebrations. I think Josh Money is down boundary side. Just cut in, Josh, if you get anyone, and you can bring us a reaction or two. We'll let Jamo and Charlo continue with their thoughts.
Well, there's a fair few tears out there. I'm seeing Courtney Cramey's down there with Sam Lane. There's a number of tears down there. I've just seen Beck Goddard is down there. She's walked down around the boundary there with Jan Cooper. Jan Cooper, of course, the Premiership Cup ambassador. Beck Goddard, I hear, will present Doc Clark with the Premiership medal today, and I think there's a beautiful moment, I think, for both of them to share. The coach that built the first incarnation, the foundation for Doc to then inherit and then take it to its next step. I think there's a lovely moment there for both of those people, both of those coaches to enjoy. And there's a lot of stories out of this game, and I think this grand final, if we think about it, I guess in the breakdown of it later on, I think we'll talk about moments of this grand final for many, many years to come.
And a nice moment for Erin Phillips as well. She's done a TV interview. She's got one arm with Mariana Rajcic around her, the other with Denny Van Hagen, who is helping her out there. Chelsea Randall gives her a big hug and an embrace. So Phillips and Shear, although injured and I guess ruled out of the game before its conclusion, they're certainly very much a part of the celebrations here for the Adelaide Crows, which is fantastic to see.
Shear is absolutely inconsolable out there, the poor kid, and her teammates are getting around her and looking after her. We're seeing some beautiful signs on the big screen now with Erin Phillips and Ed Marinoff having a hug. We know that there's a beautiful relationship between those two. Phillips did a lot of mentoring of Marinoff in her first year in this competition and just helped Marinoff sort of steady and mature. And I think this year that we've seen from Marinoff is something that's come because of Phillips's leadership and tutelage, and there's a lot of pain out there for those girls right now. Bittersweet win today for the Crows. I think Phillips has become she's a spiritual leader of football in this town, and I think whilst they'll be very happy to accept the Premiership Cup today, I reckon they would have been happy to have 2 healthier knees at the end of the game for sure.
Well, I think it's in the end, it's I guess a lot of the opportunity you get through to this stage, and it happened here, but now you've got time to recover. You need to sit back, and as young as Chloe is, she's been part of something pretty unique, and albeit sit back, enjoy what the occasion is and suck it in, and then you know what, you've got to dig in. You've got another 10 to 12 months ahead where you've got to get yourself back to where you need to be, and the resources are there.
So the Crows girls are singing happy birthday to Sophie Lee, who turned 31 today. And that'll be a hell of a celebration for her. They chaired her on top of all of them. She was almost crowd surfing the Adelaide players in the middle there. Sophie Lee, as they continue those celebrations at ground level.
Started her career, of course, with Carlton, now a local South Australian girl back home playing for the Crows. Let's head down to Josh Money.
Yeah, thank you. Joined by Crows co-captain Chelsea Randall. Chelsea, a second premiership in 3 years. Just what does that mean?
It's I don't know if it's really kicked in yet until people are starting to come to me and, it's just surreal. It's surreal. I'm speechless.
How about that crowd? You asked for 30,000 during the week. 53,000 here at Adelaide Oval to watch a women's AFL Grand. What does that mean?
That's unbelievable. I mean, I'm standing on the sideline when it all came up, and 53,000 and plus, and I just, put my hands up to all the people up here that came out today just to cheer us on. We're so forever grateful.
Mixed emotions, a great win, but serious-looking injuries to both Chloe Shear and, of course, Erin Phillips. I mean, how much does that sour the feeling right now?
Oh, look, they're such, genuine people. We love them so much, and they've played such a massive role for us, not only today, but for this season and for the whole pre-season. They're a massive part of this football club, and, your heart just bleeds to see them go down, but, we polished that off for them today, so, yeah.
The ovation as Erin was stretchered off, how much did that show just how important she is to this town?
Yeah, look, I just kind of spun it around as well, and just to soak that in and just go, she's such a special person to women's football, and it's hate to see this kind of injury, but she's an absolute champion.
I think you've got a song to sing, so we'll let you go.
Thank you.
Chelsea Randall, good enough to give us a few minutes of her time with Josh Money as the girls gather for the ceremony, which will take place in a moment or two's time. That crowd again, 53,034 in to see Adelaide claim their second AFLW premiership by 45 points. What a prized piece of history. It'll now sit alongside with the two men's premiership cups for this successful club in South Australia. Carlton slowly gathering to the right of the ceremony which is about to take place. You can see some emotional girls making their way into position, and I think we're all ready to join the formalities.
We must first acknowledge and thank the AFL Women's Premier Partner, NAB, represented today by Susanna Rostevsky, the Executive General Manager of Marketing and Customer Experience. Thank you for your support. Well, they do a marvellous job, so please congratulate the field, boundary and goal umpires as we welcome Andrew Heffernan, representing all umpires today on stage. I know you'll give them a round of applause as Andrew makes his way onto the stage to receive a grand final medallion on behalf of all umpires, presented by Steve Hocking, General Manager of AFL Football Operations. A round of applause, please.
Probably not the most popular figures in the Adelaide Oval, it must be said. Don't know if you can see the free kick tally, Gemmo.
Yeah, it was 16 to Carlton, 8 to Adelaide. So
you tend to forget those things, don't you, when you win a game by 45 points?
Well, it's heavily favoured in Carlton's way, but I didn't really think the umpires played or had any influence on the game. I thought it was a really solid contest. And,
well, Carlton have had a magnificent year, particularly strong end to the season and an amazing effort today. Please join me in showing your support. We'll welcome Captain Brianna Davey up to the stage. Big round of applause.
Leading possession getter for the Blues with 22 disposals, 10 contested possessions and kicked the goal.
5 clearances led the way, particularly in that second half when I guess they were really up against it. She had to stand up.
Keep it short and sweet. Firstly to Adelaide. Well done today, girls. Unfortunately, you're just too good for us. But really well done. You guys showed you were the top of the comp all season, so really well done to you guys. I just want to take the time now also to thank the people who got us here and have got us here all year, to all the games from A to B. And that's Gavin, the team at Hyundai, Mark, John and the team at MC Labour, Glen, La Trobe University, Vizzy, Anna Luggage, all of our foundation partners and Virgin Australia for flying us all across the country this season. I also want to thank the Blue Bagger Army. You guys are absolute legends over there. Come to every bloody game and we love you. And to our supporters as well. Everybody in the crowd as well for coming today and making this massive crowd. You guys are the best. And lastly, I just want to throw a massive thank you and I guess congrats for getting here as well to our girls. We've come from down the bottom and we've fought our way right to the top, and we deserve to be here today. We really do deserve to be here today. And also to the support staff at Carlton as well, and the coaches and everybody else. Again, thanks for helping out and getting us here. We wouldn't be here without you. Thanks, guys.
Bree Davey, the Carlton captain there.
Let's give them one last round of applause. The Carlton Football Club.
She spoke very well.
She's a terrific leader, obviously played in the Matildas and the women's national soccer team. Very experienced on being in the world stage.
Player of the match, judged as best of field in the 2019 NAB AFL Women's Grand Final. And the winner is, with 11 votes, Erin Phillips.
Every Adelaide Crows player has gathered around Erin Phillips as they embrace her. And Ebony Marinoff and Chelsea Randall on either side will help her to the stage to accept her medal.
At the time she went off, Clinchy, she had 18 disposals, 10 clearances, 4 tackles and 2 goals, and just looked all class. 3 marks as well, just knows where to go.
Of course, it's her second AFLW Grand Final Best Player Award too. She was given the medal in 2017.
322 metres gained, the most of any player on the field, and she played 2.5 quarters.
Wiping away tears as she accepts the medal. Bandage around her left knee and hobbles to the microphone.
Sorry, as you can imagine, it's a little emotional right now. First of all, I just want to congratulate Carlton Football Club. Fantastic year. You guys have played amazing all season, and it was no surprise you were here at the end. So, Bree, I know you guys will be back up here next season too. To the crowd, 53,000 people. Oh my God, unbelievable. It's an absolute dream come true, not but for our girls, but for Carlton as well. To play in front of this crowd is, means so much to us, and it's amazing for women's footy. It's just incredible, so thank you so much. To all the sponsors, thank you. And lastly, my family, my girls, I love you guys so much, and I'm so proud of you. We did it again. Woo!
Erin Phillips hobbles from the stage.
What an inspiration to girls right across the country. Let's give her one last round of applause. Erin Phillips.
Able to recognise the occasion in which it is for women's footy in the bittersweet knee injury she suffered.
It's every young footballer's dream to be up on the grand final stage, and for these young kids, these young players over here, it's about to become a reality. I know you'll give them a huge welcome up onto the stage. 21 young NAB Auskicker participants are going to present the players with their medals today, and they are led by 2018 NAB AFL Auskicker of the Year, Isla Roscrow. Up you come, guys.
Just approaching three-quarter time at Docklands. It's North Melbourne 9-6-60, leading the Brisbane Lions by 9 points, 7-9-51. The players are about to be presented on stage. Number 2, Eloise Jones, the talented basketballer who turned down the college opportunity to play AFL. And here she is receiving a premiership medal.
That mark in the middle of the ground in the first quarter, wasn't it, too, or second quarter? I think that turned it.
Ange Foley, of course, cast your mind back 6 or 7 years ago. She was playing local footy in Bendigo, got her opportunity with the Bendigo Thunder, and has made her way onto the Adelaide Crows list. Superb again today, and almost got blistered for the handshake by the young Oz kicker too.
Another one who's going to need a little bit of support to make her way up onto the stage. The local girl from Gawler who dominated in the SAWFL. 3-time Narelle Smith medalist for the best under-18 player.
And she has time on her side. She's only turning 20 this year. It's pretty amazing to think what sort of future she has ahead of her. Really difficult moments for her right now.
Did she do an ACL last year as well?
A year before, at the end of this, her top age year.
Number 5, Jenna McCormick.
Jenna McCormick, of course, another talented cross-code athlete, plays with the Brisbane Roar in the W League, has been a really important member of this Adelaide defensive unit, her 20th game today in her 3rd season.
Number 6, Hannah Martin.
Hannah Martin in her first year of AFLW from the York Peninsula. She was a late comer to footy, having made the Team of the Year with West Adelaide, where she also won the league best and fairest.
Number 9, Denny Van Hagen.
Denny Van Hagen has been a mainstay of this Crows side. Every single game that Adelaide have played, Denny Van Hagen has been there, the 2-time premiership player, and was fantastic again today.
Just plays a role, doesn't
Number
she?
10,
Just
Ebony
consistent.
Marinoff.
What can you say about Ebony Marinoff that hasn't already been said? All-Australian and rising star in 2017. Once more, she's always at the top of the stat sheet. 19 disposals, including 11 contested possessions and 7 tackles alongside 3 clearances.
Number 14, Stevie Lee Thompson.
Stevie Lee Thompson, the leading goal kicker in the AFLW this season, kicked one to increase her tally to 14. The Crows thought Erin Phillips was going up next.
Number 15, Danielle Ponta.
Well, Danielle Ponta almost never played Australian football. Do you know that? She was found as part of the very first ever AFL Kickstart program. It's an under 15 championships for Indigenous girls, and she was plucked out of the NT as part of that program, 16, identified as an All-Australian player, premiership player.
She's from St Mary's in the Northern Territory. We should have known she's a niece of Michael Long and cousin to Cyril and Will Rioli. Of course she was going to turn it on a grand final stage.
3 goals in that second quarter.
Number 19, Sophie Lee.
Who was that?
Bit of the Ty Canellis from Eilish Ross, who did a bit of an Irish jig on the stage after she got her premiership medallion.
And Sophie Lee turns 31 today, played every game for Carlton last year, had to request a trade for work, and it's certainly paid off.
Courtney Cramey, who we mentioned throughout the call, has been a captain of South Australia. She excelled in the Crows' first grand final win against Brisbane, a former All-Australian, and receiving her premiership medal.
Number 23, Justine Mules.
Justine Mules, probably one of the lesser lights of the Crows externally, but does her job every single week. She is one of the glue players in that side. Her 21st game today in Adelaide colours, and she puts the medallion round her neck.
Jessica Foley.
Jess Foley, of course, who played basketball for Australia, captained the Adelaide Lightning, went over and played college basketball at Duke in the United States. Charlie, you mentioned they had the injuries to Hewitt and Metcalf in the off-season. They had the right coach to get her ready to run.
And she was pretty extraordinary all year, Jess Foley, around the ground as much as in the contest, in the stoppages.
Renee Forth, another great story, missed the whole first season after she was named GWS's marquee player. Requested a trade to Adelaide. Another one who's benefited from that.
She's had her injuries, Dana Cox, in her third season. But able to get a run at it this year and played a pivotal role in defence.
She's a tough lady, though, too. Goes in hard.
Very tough.
Number 32, Mariana Ratchik.
Again, another consistent player, Mariana Ratchik. Probably took that spot that Courtney Cramey has sort of been holding, and I've loved her maturity and her poise with her ball use, Mariana Ratchik.
How good was Hatchard today? Ratchik outstanding in the final series. Hatchard as well. 24 disposals, 19 contested, 8 clearances, 6 tackles and 1 goal.
Number 39, Sarah Allen.
Sometimes defenders don't get the recognition in which they deserve. Well, there was no missing Sarah Allen.
Absolutely agree with that.
The season. She can play in attack or defence, but pivotal in the Crows' back six.
So balanced.
So really poised and calm. Very calm family, the Allens. We, of course, Jess Allen, her younger sister.
And Chelsea Randall, the West Australian, a couple of years ago, living in a caravan to follow her footy dream. She has been such a big part of this Adelaide team, a 2-time premiership player, the All-Australian captain from last year. What a player she is.
Number 13, Erin Phillips.
Just listen to that reception. For everything she's achieved on the international stage, a 2-time WNBL champ, a world champion in 2006, a silver medalist at Beijing in the Olympics. It was this that she dreamed of, standing in the middle of the Adelaide Oval, receiving a premiership medal.
Beck Goddard, AFLW inaugural premiership coach, to present the senior coach of the 2019 NAB AFL premiership team, Matthew Clark of the Adelaide Crows.
And Beck Goddard, fittingly, who played such a pivotal role in the first premiership.
Not such a pivotal role in the first premiership, but in women's football. She's been such an important role player in Canberra around the women's football scene there. She was on the board of the Victorian Women's Football League when she moved down there for Melbourne for work in 2004.
It's a little bit low.
Here's Matthew Clark, the coach.
Obviously, we'd just like to acknowledge the Carlton Football Club. Nothing hurts like losing a grand final, but I'm sure that all your families and certainly your coaches and your club will be immensely proud of your season, and you should be too. We'd like to acknowledge our major sponsors, BHP and WorkSkill. They got on board with AFLW before anyone knew what it was going to be. And now it's this. Yeah, thanks.
The microphone's finally been adjusted and, in fact, taken off the stand. This could be a roving Matt Clark.
Just like to acknowledge also the territory. This team's immensely proud to represent not only South Australia, but the NT. And I know that they hold a very special place in our heart. So while we've got 53,000 here, we'll have just about as many up there in TO, I reckon. To the 53,000. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. The way our club has embraced this team is one of the proudest things that I feel about our footy club. It's been amazing, and today was beyond everyone's expectations. To all of the support team, amazing job, guys. To the coaches, to the fitness team, to the medical, at footy admin, recruitment, and to all of our broader football club, amazing support. Again, the way you get behind these players enables them to be absolutely as good as they absolutely are. Amazing team. And finally, to the team, particularly the girls that aren't playing today. This is the most united group I've ever been associated with. All of you are a very central part to what happened today. And amazing team, amazing athletes, but most importantly, amazing people. It's been an honour to be accepted as part of your family.
Well, I'd now like to welcome Jan Cooper up onto the stage to present the Premiership Cup to co-captains Chelsea Randall and Erin Phillips and coach Matthew Clark.
So Jan Cooper up onto the stage, stands in the middle of Chelsea Randall and Erin Phillips with Matthew Clark behind.
We'll just get Chelsea and Erin over here for a quick word. We'll ask.
This is not playing in with our timings, so we'll bear with this for a minute or two and then take you straight to the MCG.
Can you hold it?
She's got muscles, she can hold it. Well, I think Doc pretty much thanked everyone that we wanted to thank on my little list here, but a really important one to NAB, our sponsor of the AFLW. Thank you very much for, supporting this competition. This is a dream for many girls across Australia, and you helped make that dream come true, so thank you. Our sponsors were mentioned, but BHB WorkSkill, Thomas Farms, UniSA, Statewide Super and Toyota, thank you very much for your ongoing support to our football club and to us as our team. And you guys are awesome! We love you! Thank you so much for coming out here today. You're amazing. Our girls, I love you so much! Get up here!
Chelsea Randall drops the mic.
Please.
And the Adelaide Crows race to the stage to celebrate a second premiership in 3 years. The AFL Crows premiers in season 2019. As the streamers fire off into the day sky and they pose for the camera, with a couple of the girls lying on the front, a little bit worse for injury. But what a moment it will be for them to savour as the Carlton girls slowly start to make their way off the Adelaide Oval. It didn't end in the fashion in which they would have dreamed of. Adelaide prevailing by 45 points, 10-3-63 to Carlton 2-6-18. Meanwhile, at Docklands, approaching three-quarter time, it's North Melbourne by 4 points, 9-8-62 to the Brisbane Lions, 8-10-58. Final thoughts from Rod Jamieson and Charlo Curtis.
Amazing story, Clinchy, too. It's, I guess, echoing the words of Coach Matty Clark. I was lucky enough to be involved on the coaching panel when we appointed the first coach and then see it come through, come to life, and to see these ladies and get the opportunity, the smiles that presented to their faces, the resources that presented, and just seeing the change physically, emotionally and mentally to now be successful in 1 year, but get 2 in 3 years and to play in front of 53,000 people. So it means a lot. It means a lot to our club, and we're enormously proud of how they've adapted and gone about it and represented our club. So I guess from a football club perspective, an amazing journey in a short space of time.
And great to see the Carlton girls who are walking off the ground toward their race at the Riverbank stand there. They're going to go all the way up the other end of the ground to recognise those fans who have made the journey across the border to support them this weekend. And there were plenty of them. They ordered buses from Princes Park to get the Carlton fans over here, who did the double of Port Adelaide playing Carlton last night into Carlton today. And a great recognition from the Carlton players to do that.
The Adelaide Crows girls are singing the song on the middle of the ground. Adelaide winners by 45 points in the start of celebrations, which for no doubt will continue into the early hours of the morning.
I'm a bit speechless, actually, there, Clinchy. It's, it's a pretty special competition, and it's been quite an emotional day, and I feel quite emotional right now, actually. But to see little girls and to see older women have their dreams realised, and for someone like Erin Phillips to have had the opportunity to do that today is pretty amazing. Not only play a game of footy like that, but break a record for attendance. When people said to us constantly, no one's ever going to want to watch women play football, and we saw 53,000 people turn up today just to do that. It says a lot about what people have wanted for such a long time. Women and girls have wanted for such a long time, and and we got that. And so if you don't have a statement about what we want moving forward, 53,000 people said those words today. So fantastic season, and fantastic, ABC getting around the competition, and the clubs, people like Rod and the clubs getting around women and celebrating them for what they are, not for what they're not. And I think that's just so special. So it has been really wonderful to call this season with ABC and be part of the team and to work with you guys today. And so many moments from today that will be etched in our memories for many years to come. And it's what a great thing for our country to have something like this.
I don't think we could finish on a better note. What a day it's been for the Adelaide Crows. What a day it's been for women's sport. 53,034 in to the Adelaide Oval, the biggest attendance for a game here in Australia. On behalf of Rod Jamieson, thank you to Shiloh Curtis. Pleasure to call alongside Joel, to Josh Money down the boundary, to Simon and to Craig back in the studio. It's been our pleasure to bring you the AFLW Grand Final on ABC Radio around the country. We hope you've enjoyed it. Adelaide prevailed their second premiership in 3 years by 45 points. At Docklands, three-quarter time, North Melbourne by 4 points. We're heading to the MCG for the start of Hawthorn and the Western Bulldogs. To Alison Nicholson, Julian De Stoop, Brent Harvey and Ryan O'Keefe. Enjoy your afternoon.